In sports this hour, CAF hands down hefty sanction to Senegal. Spa Challenge Showdown all set for today, and Sri Lanka boosts T20 World Cup security with eye on India-Pakistan games. More details at 3:30.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, well, welcome. Good afternoon to you today. This is the National Pulse. First things first, let's get an update on the goings-on that impacts you regarding interest rates. The South African Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago is announcing the bank's Monetary Policy Committee's decision on interest rates. Let's right there to hear what he has to say.
Reflecting what appears to be a rupture in the global political order. There are also new threats to central bank independence. Markets are jittery, and precious metals like gold have received safe haven flows. There are also ongoing risks of an artificial intelligence bubble. Furthermore, global imbalances have become very large. For instance, China's trade surplus was over $1 trillion last year, a new record. Meanwhile, government debt is still growing fast in key economies. For example, with the US fiscal deficit approaching $2 trillion. These trends are not sustainable. Despite these fragilities, asset prices have been resilient and global growth is holding up, supported by investments in AI as well as fiscal stimulus in major economies. Inflation generally slowed last year, and many central banks have had space to adopt more neutral policy settings. Financing conditions for emerging markets remain benign. Turning to South Africa, growth looks steadier. The economy has expanded for 4 consecutive quarters, and the available data suggests it grew further in the most recent quarter. This would mark the longest unbroken growth phase since 2018. The main growth driver has been household consumption, which is up by more than 3% last year, compared to an estimated 1.3% for the overall economy. Unfortunately, investment has been weak, contracting during the first half of 2025. However, the third quarter data showed a rebound. We hope this investment recovery will be sustained, allowing the economy to achieve structurally higher growth. Our forecasts continue to show growth moving somewhat higher, approaching 2% over the medium term. We see some upside risks to these projections. Moving to prices, inflation last year was 3.2%, close to our 3% objective. It was a bit higher towards the end of the year, mainly because of temporary factors. The December print came in at 3.6%. However, we expect this was the peak and that inflation will slow from here. Indeed, over near-term inflation forecast has fallen, with the rand stronger and a lower oil price assumption. We are, however, keeping an eye on food inflation, especially meat prices, which are being affected by a serious outbreak of foot and mouth disease. We are also concerned about electricity prices, given that NERSA's price correction may rise from 54 billion rands to 76 billion rands. More positively, inflation expectations have fallen, with the latest survey showing longer-term expectations at record lows. We look forward to expectations declining further, as South Africans experience ongoing lower inflation and learn more about the new target. In turn, lower inflation expectations will be important for getting inflation to settle at 3%. Currently, we are benefiting from low goods price inflation supported by factors like the stronger rand. Goods inflation is at 3% and core goods is at 1.2%. By contrast, services inflation is still over 4%. It is desirable to have services inflation moving closer to 3% as low inflation becomes the new normal for South Africa. We assess the risks to the inflation outlook as balanced. Against this backdrop, the MPC decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 6.75%. 2 members favored a cut of 25 basis points, while 4 preferred a hold. The quarterly projection model continues to forecast gradual rate cuts as inflation subsides. The model interprets the policy stance as moderately restrictive currently, with rates reaching neutral levels during 2027. As before, this rate path remains a broad policy guide. Our decisions will continue to be taken on a meeting-by-meeting basis, with careful attention to the outlook, data outcomes, and the balance of risks to the forecast. Moving to our scenarios. Over the past year, there have been large changes in both the exchange rate and oil prices. Our baseline forecast assumed these prices will stay roughly where they ended in 2025, but the outlook is uncertain. We considered a pair of scenarios: a favorable one where the rand is stronger and oil keeps falling, and a more challenging one where the rand weakens and oil goes up again. In the adverse scenario, inflation peaks at 4% and the convergence to the 3% target is lower. Interest rates are largely unchanged in the near term, with the shift down to neutral delayed by about a year. In the positive scenario, inflation gets as low as 2.3% temporarily. In this context, expectations ease faster and inflation ultimately settles near 3% more quickly. This allows front-loading of interest rate cuts, with neutral reached during the current year. These scenarios show that even quite large shocks like those modeled would not push inflation outside our tolerance range of 3% plus or minus 1. They also demonstrate how supply shocks interact with inflation expectations. This affects how fast we deliver on the 3% target. We are trying to anchor expectations at 3%. Positive shocks get us there sooner, while negative shocks delay the process, but don't block it. Overall, monetary policy appears well positioned to manage the range of shocks that might come our way. To conclude, 2025 was a watershed year for the South African economy. Despite a volatile global backdrop, there was significant progress on domestic reforms, including a new inflation target. These efforts have been rewarded with lower borrowing costs, a rapid decline in inflation expectations, and steadier growth. It is crucial to sustain this progress. For monetary policy, our main contribution is to deliver on the new target, which means stabilizing inflation at 3% over the next few years. Further gains in economic performance would come from reaching a prudent public debt level, lowering administered price inflation, and continuing structural reforms that raise potential growth. That concludes our statement. And at this stage, I would like to invite you to pose any questions that you might have. And we would then ask members of the committee to deal with your questions.
Right,
and
that's
as usual.
That's where we
Your
can
name
leave it regarding.
And the media.
That's where we can leave it regarding the Reserve Bank governor's announcement. Now we do know that every one of us wants to know more about what's going on with the Madlanga Commission. So let's not skip a beat, and let's get right to that right away.
The risk is you give one person the key, he goes there on his own, and those things that are no more 541 is a short. That is the risk. But if you put two, if these people went together there, there's no way that another one will start to steal or another one will tell another one to steal. So that is something.
So you saw this as a security to have more people?
Yeah, because they knew these ones, okay. They were part and parcel of the Caesar, the drug squad in Durban.
Okay. I just want to, because it's such a large seizure, it's at half a ton of cocaine, did you not think you should have oversight? And if you're going to, you took the key and you said you're going to keep it, should you not have retained control of the key throughout the process? Meaning if something had to be done at the strong room, that you would accompany?
I'm the provincial head. I can give directives to people to go do the job. It does not necessarily mean I must do the job. Like, let me put it in this perspective. The DPP of a province does not necessarily read the dockets and make decisions. He's got people who are doing the job for her. She reads, she brings the panel of advocates, then that. It's like me. So, and I asked them to go there, and they did their job and brought the keys back. But over and above that, during my office visit, when I took up my post, I gave all the offices, not the Port Shepstone one, because I was visiting them one by one, that offices must be visited between 1812 midnight and between 2 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And on that day, I think there was a warrant officer, Kuchelenberg, and a Captain Leroux, and the unit commander. I further informed them, in the presence of my brigadier, that the offices must be visited. I gave them the very same times again.
You informed them at the time of this, because you informed them because the drugs were there, and so it was to protect that drug haul. Is that right?
I'm not sure if you heard me well.
You can just say yes or no. Maybe I didn't, and that's why I'm clarifying.
I want you to understand me properly. I did it before even we stored the drugs. This directive. Yes. When you took up office, I'm not sure that's what I did. When you took up office, you will go and visit all your members, and so that you can also be able to know where are the offices that are resorting under you. In that period, it was in 2020. During that process, I gave this directive.
I understand that. I'm asking.
Can I finish?
Yes, please do. Please,
commissioners. Then, on the day of the storage, I repeated it again. I told them, I think if you look at there is a statement there of Colonel Prinsloo, he will say so. That is, I'm trying to respond to the issues of this paragraph 2.2.8, that further than this, I informed the people to do their visits.
So there are affidavits here, and there are several affidavits that contradict that. Can I take you to page 557? Okay, in
Correct.
paragraph 2.
Yes.
At no stage before and or after the housebreaking that occurred between 5 November 21, 8 November 21 at the Port Shepstone DPCI offices was I ever given any written or verbal instruction by any officer to visit our offices after hours or on weekends to make sure that everything was in order at the office. And it goes on. And then it says the times that I did visit the office was on my own initiative because of the previous breakings we had at our offices. However, I do recall that our previous acting commander, Lieutenant Colonel J.J.P. Prinsloo, did ask the office personnel to visit the office when they are in the area without giving any specific reason. This is from a detective warrant officer. What's your response to that?
You said it's contradictory, but the answer is there, you read it. On the same paragraph, there is an answer there. So my response is, the members knew, because when you look at this statement, it was taken now to, I think, September 2025, but they knew these members.
No, it doesn't say that. It says, at no stage, before or after the housebreaking that occurred between 5 November 2021 and 8 November 21 at the Port Shepstone DPCI offices, was I ever given any written or verbal instruction by any officer to visit our offices after hours or on weekends to make sure that everything was in order at the office. And this is important because you said that at the time you gave this instruction. And I'm saying this officer says something different.
I don't know why he said something different, commissioners, but I did give this directive. You look at, we provided a statement to the evidence leader of Colonel Prinsloo. I don't know if it was shared with the commissioners. If it was shared, I want to invite the commissioners. We go, it's a page that we gave, pages. I'm not sure if it was annexed chart here, but
Ms. Mafisa, was it shared with us?
Chair. Yes, Chair.
Thank you. We have it now, General. Where do you want to take us?
let's look at paragraph 8, commissioners.
And this is a statement by
Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo.
Jacobus Jeremiah Pietrus Prinsloo.
Yes, paragraph 8. From the bottom of that paragraph, we'll read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll see it starts with General Senona. There at the end, towards the end of the 5th line from the bottom.
Oh, yes. I see
Paragraph
it.
8.
Para 8, line 1, 2, 3, 4.
And this affidavit, commissioners, it was signed on the 25th of 11, 2021. This affidavit by Colonel Prinsloo. Can I read where I wanted to take the commissioners? It says, General Senona requested us to have regular visit to the office after hours. The members then left and Warrant Officer van der Berg secured back the security door by the kitchen with a chain and padlock. This one I forgot I forgot about it because it's not me. You can see that an additional security feature was done, that a chain and a padlock were also procured so that they can lock at the door at the kitchen at the back, because that is why these homeless people, they were breaking that window. They couldn't come in there because it was locked from inside with a chain. So you will never be able to open it from the outside. So this issue of contrary, I think we need to also, if there was ample time, commissioners, to go and have a look at the statements of these members by then, the initial statement, because these are additional statements that the advocate is talking about. Maybe they will give us a clear perspective, but this is the boss of the office that I gave this directive to, and the expectation was that in the parade, police, when they report on duty, they come to a room, they parade the detectives, and then they talk, they discuss the daily issues and so forth. There and there, I think there was a statement that I read that says, during parade, Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo informed us to visit the office after hours. It's just that I'm looking for that one. I'm unable to trace it here on the bundle of documents. Thank you, Commissioners.
Was it a request or was it an instruction?
You know, in the police, when he wrote like this, it is an instruction. In the police, we don't normally, the language of the police language is not a request, it's an instruction.
And so would there be a log, an occurrence book, or some sort of entry to show that between these hours, which officer patrolled the area, did a site inspection and a site visit every single day between what hours?
There should be, because the instruction was that OB entry must be done to that effect, to the effect of the visit.
So have you seen such entries?
Look, the criminal investigators, they took a lot of stuff. The only thing that I was having after the break-in is only these copies that I did for me. But further than that, I don't know.
Okay.
Commission in just a moment. A reminder, this is the National Pulse on SAFM, and extensive coverage is expected to the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc inquiry parliamentary committee itself, as and when that happens, and they run concurrently. We know that, but that comes up in a moment.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Like a mother's love, Mama Money is always there for the things that matter most. This back-to-school season, when school fees need to be sent home, trust Mama Money to help you support your family with ease. With fees from just 2%, you can send money to over 70 countries across Africa, Asia, and Europe using the Mama Money app. Get started today. Download the app now, register, and make education happen. Mama Money. Mama makes it happen.
Extra your new semester vibes with free gifts from Vodacom this new year. Like the Vivo X200 Pro from just 1,549 per month over 36 months on a 6 gig Red Core plan. Comes with free Vivo Watch GT worth 2,999. Plus, get 5 gigs YouTube data and 2 months free YouTube Premium. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Right back to the Madlanga Commission. Two voices, you're going to hear that of the Hawks head Major General Lesecha Sanona from KZN, of course, and then Advocate Adila Hassan.
You are listening.
Doing the due diligence.
So let me understand this. This theft happened over a weekend, either on a Saturday or a Sunday,
Correct.
the 6th or the 7th of November. And I see from your statement that some police officers would go to that office from time to time, but there was nobody stationed there permanently.
Correct.
Yeah.
There was nobody stationed there permanently, Commissioners. You will realize that on that weekend, members went to the offices.
Yeah, but he only went there to pick up something, and he smelled something. He thought it was load shedding.
And
he
then
left.
also the unit commander went to visit the office, Commissioners. Even previously, when I asked in terms of the guards, there were no guards that were posted there permanently. And I think in the statement of Colonel Prinsloo, you'll see, let me check that paragraph, where he said he also requested the K9 to patrol the area of the surrounding, the K9 of that area. Commissioners.
I mean, I'm no expert on policing and how you store your exhibits, but it seems reckless to me that half a ton of cocaine is stored in a remote location. There's just a safe there and a padlock, but there's nobody guarding it. Which means if anybody wants to break in at night, they can do so because there's no appropriate security. And they have enough time to even use a grinder to break the safe and go in and steal this cocaine, which is in fact what happened. I'm assuming that's what happened. Let me not say in fact.
Commissioners, I believe I did everything in my power to secure the cocaine. And over and above that, mandrakes were stored to the value of 254 million, the value above this one, on a previous occasion, as well as hashish compressed dagga. It's a very expensive dagga, that hashish. It's a pity I don't remember how much was the street value of that. So I believe I did the right thing. I did all that I could do to safeguard those exhibits there. But I said after the theft, there is space to store cocaine. There is space to store cocaine. And I don't know before why we were informed there's no space, we can't do this. Now even police stations, but they want you to only leave those things for a week. It can't go over the weekend. Then I indicated I had to pay from my budget the combat people to transport these exhibits because they are a subject of a case that is investigated in my office. Pretoria has been receiving them. And currently, that is the practice that is being done if we seize drugs, commissioners.
General, it seems though that Colonel Prinsloo himself was not happy with the security of that place. I mean, it's his office. He says in this statement that you have given us, at paragraph 10, he says, I was not comfortable with it being stored in my office as the security of my office is not up to standard. So you've got a person who's in the place, who knows the place better than you do, and he tells somebody in this statement that I was actually uncomfortable because the security there was not good. And you from outside head, you say it was a very safe place.
Commissioner, the previous unit commander before Prinsloo is a Brigadier Nyuso. I think the 2018 storage, he was the unit commander there. Now, this paragraph, I saw it, but this was never brought under my attention. When I look at it, it seems he told a brigadier here who was there at the office. But even this brigadier never came and advised me, General, there is this 1, 2, 3, we need to do something. If it was brought under my attention, maybe one would have taken additional and necessary steps to deal with the situation.
Well, I guess my point really is, yes, you may have taken the steps that you have described, but from Colonel Prinsloo, it seems that that place in the first place was not good enough, secure enough, and so maybe your reliance on history and what you were told by a person who suggested Port Shepstone, as we now know, was shot, because here's Mr. Colonel Prinsloo, who knows that place, says, I wasn't happy that these things are here.
I agree with you, Commissioner. The only challenge is it was never brought under my attention. I would have taken action. If he says so, I would have asked and say, you say you are not happy, what is your suggestion, what do you think? And then, so that we can do any other thing that we can do to ensure that that place is safe. Because after the seizure, I did report this to my supervisor by then. I think I said it on Tuesday. But I see this paragraph. I agree with you, Commissioner. It is an unfortunate situation. It was never brought under my attention.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. On that point, General, can you look at page 550? This is an affidavit by the very same Prinsloo, right? If you look at the name at the top.
Yes.
And he, in this affidavit, explains, it's a different affidavit to the one that you've provided us with, but it's by the same person. And he explains, we'll see in paragraph 3, the office was previously fitted with an alarm that was monitored by National Security and Fire.
The Commission for the moment, it's 3:30. We need to get up to date with the news in South Africa, around the world. Here's the news heads with Ondela.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee decided to keep rates unchanged, which leave the repo rate steady at 6.75% and the prime lending rate at 10.25%. President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed a document to extend the term of the Nkabinde inquiry. The term, which was supposed to expire today, has been extended to the end of June this year. And KwaZulu-Natal Hawks head General Isija Sinona has testified that he's not connected to his son's business venture with attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Cat Madlanga. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, there's a crash on the N1 southbound after Rigel Avenue and a stationary vehicle on the N12 westbound at the ramp to Kingsway Avenue. In KZN, Wandele Chele Road is where serious crashes reported at Orient Hills, multiple fatalities, and you're asked to expect delays as well as diversions throughout the area. And a stationary vehicle on the N3 northbound after Peter Brown interchange. In Cape Town, congestion on the N2 outbound at Old Main Road and a stationary vehicle on the N7 northbound to the ramp of the N1 outbound. You're asked to expect lane closures. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumi Nkgapele.
Right, to me, we've got you've got the tournament, the AFCON, then you've had the drama, then comes the punishment.
Yeah, it is officially out and has been making headlines the whole day today, where CAF has fined Senegal and Morocco more than $1 million combined, which is around 15.7 million rand, and handed out bans following chaos at the Africa Cup of Nations final in January. Senegalese player Iman Ndiaye and Ismaila Sarr have been banned for 2 African games. Morocco's Ashraf Hakimi was also banned for 2 games, with 1 suspended, and Morocco's Ismail Saibari was banned for 3 games and fined $100,000 for unsporting behavior. Senegal's coach Pape Thiaw has been banned for 5 African matches and fined $100,000. In terms of Morocco's appeal to take Senegal's title and trophy, CAF have dismissed that, but they've also fined Senegal's Football Federation over $600,000, while Morocco's federation was fined more than $300,000 for crowd trouble, fighting between players and journalists, and unsporting behavior. In terms of local football, Kaizer Chiefs co-coach Cedric Kaze says that the team is staying calm and not getting too excited about the points that they've collected so far this season. Their win yesterday was important in the title race, as Chiefs, who are second on the table, have now reduced the gap to defending champions and league leaders Mamelodi Sundowns to just 2 points after 15 games. This is a big improvement for Chiefs, who finished last season with only 32 points from 28 matches.
We go game by game. Last season, we were at the end of the season, we were at 32 points after 30 games. Today we are 15 games with 30 points. I feel it's a big improvement, but as well we we feel that we still have a big room as well for improvement, and we're gonna go there and compete every game. Now our focus is gonna shift to our COF Confederation game on Sunday against Zesco, and then try to make it the best out of that game.
Ashraf, I always find it interesting how teams do well miraculously under interim coaches. I mean, Chiefs, these two interim co-coaches, things have literally somehow just turned around for them.
Just must not give them the permanent job, not now.
Yeah, I heard.
Let them win the league first.
There's rumors that actually Chiefs is in talks with Peter Musimani, but it's not confirmed, but it's just rumors.
And not Sundowns, no.
No. Absolutely not.
And not Bafana either.
No. In terms of netball, South Africa's men's netball team begin their season today with a 3-match Spa Challenge series against Australia at Ellis Park. Goal attack Shane Labuschagne says that facing the unbeaten Kelpies is another career highlight and a vital test against a top opponent. Fresh from winning the Africa Cup in December, Labuschagne believes that home support gives South Africa an edge. In terms of cricket, Sri Lanka will deploy elite armed units for next month's T20 World Cup with special focus on the India-Pakistan clash on the 15th of February. Pakistan's matches were moved to Sri Lanka after refusing to play in India, while Bangladesh withdrew over security concerns. Replaced by Scotland, Sri Lanka has upgraded venues, including new floodlights in Colombo, as it prepares to host 20 games between the 7th of February to the 8th of March. In terms of tennis, Aryna Sabalenka will face Elena Rybakina in the Australian Open final after both players won their semi-finals in straight sets. Sabalenka beat Svitolina 6-2 and 6-3 to reach the fourth straight final, while Rybakina defeated Jessica Pegula 6-3 and 7-6 and will look to avenge her loss to Sabalenka in that 2023 final. Neither player has dropped a set in the tournament. A very interesting one to look forward to. On that note, it's a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
Okay, listen, before I let you go, did you see that 97th minute headed goal by the goalkeeper of, is it Benfica, right?
Yeah.
Just happens to be coached by Jose Mourinho.
I was so happy
against
for
Real
Jose.
Madrid, Nochal.
You know?
And that meant,
I'm
did you
happy
see the
for
support?
him.
The players run on the field because
I
not a
saw.
penalty shootout.
I saw.
Technically, they should all be booked. They
I
ran
know.
on the pitch,
I know.
opposite of Senegal, who ran off the pitch. They ran on the pitch during the game.
I know. And
incredible drama.
I'm a Real Madrid fan. However, I think my love for Mourinho oversees my love for Madrid.
What a
So,
story!
interesting.
And that defeat saw Real drop from third in that group to in that league table to 9th,
Literally.
and outside automatic qualifying spots
Yeah.
for the knockouts. Huge drama. Wow.
At Dis-Chem, get ready to start the year strong with better health and better rewards. Enjoy 20% off the lifestyle food range, plus an extra 10% off when you swipe your Better Rewards card. And get 2+1 cheapest free on any Future Life foods. Look out for the Better Rewards icon to get an extra 10% off on Better Rewards brands. Offers valid from Tuesday 13 January to Sunday 15 February. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
What's Duff? Why is there a horse in your driveway?
You right, Savvy. Why drive a Mustang when you can ride one?
What the missus say?
Well, she had a bit of a long face, but now she's stable.
If you need a backup plan, We Buy Cars can sort you out.
Nah, Savvy, this thing is eco-chic.
Stop horsing around, cowboy. Rather get one of these from We Buy Cars.
What's the horsepower on that thing?
More than one, Duff. More than one.
Don't be Dorf, be savvy. We buy cars, geared for adventure, geared for you. SAFM Music. Good times, good memories.
I'm just like somebody
Old school sounding so good. SAFM Music with you wherever you go.
So, you know, all week long we've been saying yes to a first for Africa. For the first time in its 60-year history. The Montreux Jazz Festival is coming to African soil, and it's happening in Franschhoek. So say yes to the first artist reveal on the Arches stage, featuring Salif Keita, Mandisi Diances, Billy Monana's Guitar Convergence, and the Kesavan I'm a Big Band experience. And then say yes to the Jazz Village with intimate performances by Madala Kuneni and Sibosile Qaba and Kwanti Lea. So with Herbie Twali and Andile Yanana, Ayanda Sekade and Sisonke Konti. So there's a whole list of people, right? This is just the beginning. I can tell you many more acts to come. Tickets for the Archers are on sale now at ticketmaster.co.za, ticketmaster.co.za. Montreux Jazz Festival, Franschhoek, presented by Nedbank. Yeah, say yes.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
And I can imagine also you also saying yes if I said let's cross once again to the Madlanga Commission.
Before you do 561, can I just, in fairness to you, General, what I discussed with you about the alarm being, the service not being offered anymore for non-payment, Colonel Prinsloo, though, says elsewhere in his statement that on the day that the drugs were brought in and after locking up, they switched on the alarm system. So it seems that in 2021, there was an alarm that was working. You may not have been aware of it because you didn't ask the question, but he seems to say that. So I just thought, let me correct what may have been a misstatement.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Really appreciate it.
I think that the issue, Commissioner Beloy, is that the alarm is insufficient without being linked to a security company that will monitor the area. There'd be an armed response if there's something to alert, an alarm that will alert someone to do. Otherwise, you can just switch off an alarm and continue. And I think that's what Prinsloo was concerned about, and that's why he said that he was not comfortable with the drugs being stored in his office, as the security of my office is not up to standard.
No. I had put to the General that there was no alarm system at all. Yes, so that's all I'm correcting.
So I just need to complete these statements just for the sake of completeness. I did two affidavits. There's another at page 561, and this is a Van den Berg, and paragraph 2. And the question he's answering in paragraph 2 is, was instruction given to visit the office after hours and make an OB entry, and by who? And he says, I cannot remember being given such a direct instruction. So again, it comes back to this, what I was asking you, an instruction versus a request.
Commissioner.
So he says, let me just finish and then you can respond. I cannot remember being given such a direct instruction. I do remember Colonel Prinsloo repeatedly requesting the office members on morning parade to visit the office after hours when they can, or when they are in the vicinity of the office, due to the repeated problems we had with break-ins and attempted break-ins. Now, again, it's what the others were saying. It's like a nice to have. If you're in the area, pop in.
But, Ms. Hasim, I find it odd. These read the same, you know. And I think this is the third one now. And they all read the same. And, I'm just making.
They are quite similar, and I think. I mean, I'm not going to speculate. There were obviously questions were being posed in a post-theft investigation, and I think that's why these affidavits were prepared. So questions were being posed, and the officers were answering. And other than that, I can't say more.
Did the same person draft the statements for them and basically note exactly the same thing? It's quite similar. I'm just making an observation.
I think it is important for me to put to the witness that there are a series of affidavits.
I'm not stopping you, Ms. Hassan.
And I don't know more than that. I do see that there are similarities.
Yes,
And sometimes similarities are a good thing, and sometimes
They may be a bad
may raise
thing,
questions.
Commissioner?
Yes, General.
And then
I want to bring under the attention of the Commissioner that these statements were taken on the same month, and then I want to check same date, 2nd of September 2025. Hence, earlier I said the initial statements that the members have deposited are not here. So if one was having that, one would be able to do a comparison. But you 100%, because I was going to ask the commissioners that this it is a copy, sort of a copy and paste type of a statement. But thank you very much, commissioners.
Thank you, General. Yes, please continue, Mr.
Thank you, Chair. Prinsloo's affidavit from 2022 says that he's had serious concerns about this. So I'm not going to go back to that. The next affidavit is at 567. And it's paragraph 3, and this is 567. 567. And as I say, I do think these were all taken in the course of a subsequent investigation. 567, it's a Captain Jeza. And in paragraph 3, he says, I do not remember being informed to visit office after hours during the night and weekends and make occurrence book entry prior or after the drugs were kept in the strong room. However, it was a common practice for members to visit office and write occurrence book if it happened that they had something to do in the office during weekends.
Commissioners?
Yes, General.
It is strange because in a lecture, all the members will be there when they are given this tasking. What he's saying, when you are in a lecture, all the personnel of your office are there when they are given this tasking by the Lieutenant Colonel. But he says this one doesn't even say we were asked to visit when we were there. Thank you, Commissioners.
Yes,
Mr. Sim, isn't really the point that Colonel Prinsloo does say that General Sinona requested that the Port Shepstone people do regular visits to the office after hours. When you started, I thought the point you were seeking to address is the specifics of it, because the general says, I gave them time frames, right? Within this period and that period, there must be a walkabout. And then at 2 in the morning, between 2 and something. I thought that's the point you were exploring with him, whether he gave that specific instruction. But we have here Prinsloo that, as I understand, is in charge or something. It's his office. He does confirm that the general gave that instruction, that his members, he may not have conveyed that to his members. Is a different conversation that the general, I don't know that there's value discussing that with the general, unless you're saying the general evidence is that he addressed everyone in that station and told them, this is what when this drug haul was brought in, and told everybody in the station that you are going to do it this way. Well, what is the point?
Well, there's 2 points. There's first of all, it's a question of there's conflicting versions here. And I'm trying to establish, because the general said at the time, that is at the time of the seizure of the drugs and storage, a specific instruction was given by him. And it was specific, it was to parole between certain hours and to make OB entries on those patrols. And we have General Prinsloo saying that General Sinona requested us to have regular visit to the office after hours. And then we have other affidavits that say that Prinsloo did ask us, but he asked us to do it in this way. Now, why he did that, I don't know. But what I want to know from the General is if he insists that he made specific requests for specific hours to secure 200 million rand worth of cocaine at this office, whether he monitored and checked that those, because they are saying they didn't have that instruction. One way to know whether this happened was to see whether there were any OB entries. And I think what I'm also further saying is that as a head of the Hawks in KZN, where this value of cocaine is kept, that the provincial head has a particular and keen interest in ensuring the safety, and not to just say, well, my officers are there and I've given it instruction and I don't need to do any more. So that's really the thrust of what I'm trying to explore with the General. So, I mean, General, that really is the question, is whether, in the light of these sort of conflicting versions, and particularly, Prince Lou himself saying that he made it known to the provincial office. I heard your response that as the head of the provincial office, it wasn't brought to your attention. But what did you do proactively to ensure that there was round-the-clock monitoring of this high value of cocaine stash at the Port Shepstone office?
I've answered this question earlier that I didn't go and check the OB entries if they were there. I didn't go, I answered. And after the theft, a lot of, I think also the OB was taken and everything. So I didn't go and visit. Look, if you are a head of the Hawks, I understand, or a head of an office or institutions, you have people who are doing certain responsibilities on your behalf. And I strongly believe that the actions that I've taken, from my perspective, they were sufficient enough. But today, before the commission, the commissioners have raised certain issues that I should have also considered, and I'm taking note of that. But asking one question over and over, that my answer will never change. It is still the same. I've never went and checked. Thank you, Commissioners.
Are you saying, with the benefit of hindsight, more could have been done to secure that cocaine, and you accept that? But at the time, you thought the steps you took were sufficient?
At the time, the steps I took were sufficient, but now I'm learning of new avenues that in the near future I must apply.
Because remember, my earlier criticism was, I thought it was reckless that there's nobody guarding those drugs 24 hours a day. People just go there when they have time to simply walk past and check that everything is fine. And that was my criticism. I think, to be fair to you, you said you can see how I can look at it that way.
Correct, Commissioner. What is happening is that when you deal with a situation.
And sorry, I don't want you to repeat. I was simply making the point, because advocate has seen, there are time constraints. So there's no need to repeat.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumala. I think the point is made. I just want to be clear that my questions were in two respects. One is whether you did it, and secondly, whether you considered it an obligation on you to do it. But I think you've answered both of those questions. So we're going to move on from there.
Regis, one last point. Have any arrests been made? Were these drugs ever found? Because we are 4.5 months, 4.5 years,
4 years
down the line.
Commissioners, I don't know. Ever since...
No. General, have arrests been made, yes or no? Have the drugs been recovered, yes or no? You can't say you don't know.
Remember what I said on Tuesday. The case docket and inquiries were taken away. And in that call-up instruction, they are reporting specifically to certain offices at head office, not to me. But I didn't hear any report that suggested that the drugs were recovered or there is any arrest. So I can't say with certainty because I'm not having inside information of what exactly is happening with the investigation. I am also surprised with statements that are taken after 4 years of this nature. What are these going to help us with the investigation?
Well, General, you are the head, and this happens under your watch. And so this is your loss, right?
Correct.
And you are one of the people that had access, that knew about this, where it is, you know the setup of the room, and where things are stored. I would have thought that as the owner of this, even though investigations are now happening elsewhere, you would ask. You are sufficiently interested. You need to know who of your people, if at all, have anything to do with this. I would have thought you would try to find out. We had witnesses from Ekurhuleni municipality where their matters are being dealt with by iPad. They didn't sit back. They came to testify and told us the countless times that they have chased up with iPad to find out, where are you with this? I've laid a criminal complaint and you're dealing with it. Where are you? So I'm quite surprised that something so major, that, as you said on day one, it's a blight on your record as well, and potentially you remain a person of interest as with the other people, because you knew about this hall, you knew where it was stored, and I would have thought that it's a matter that you would want to know and you would chase up to see that head office gets to the bottom of how this happened. And it's difficult to understand that you have done nothing about it.
Commissioners, before the team was established and the case dockets and the inquiry file were taken, we were working on this. After they limited us there and they wrote that letter, I must tell you that it is difficult for me to check that in progress, because even when the team from head office visited KwaZulu-Natal, they never informed me they are there. Up until this day, when they come there, they don't say, General, we are here, even if they don't tell me what they're going to do with investigation of the theft, it's okay. You don't have to give me detail. They don't, commissioners. So it manifested this thing of me. I said, oh, if this is the situation, let me. Because I remember at one stage, I requested my supervisor that when members are moving from another province to another province, it is important to just let the provincial head know that we are in your area, not necessarily to say, because if the problems arises like with vehicles or any other problems, God forbid, if they are involved in a shooting incident with perpetrators, we need to know, remember, we had our own people. But if you don't know, it is a problem. But the very same team that has been established, ever since they were established, they visited the province to come and do the investigations. I was not even informed about that.
Is there anything that precludes you from asking your supervisor what's happening with my drugs that were here? Those investigations. I know I would do that if I were in charge of people and my supervisor took over a matter from me, then I have an interest in the outcome because I want to get to the bottom of it. I would ask my supervisor, even in a letter, one line, what's happening with this matter? As Commissioner Khumalo says, it's 4.5 years later. The head of the DPCI, under whose watch this was taken, says, I don't know what's happening.
Commissioners, I understand what you are saying. I wanted to know the progress. I wanted to form part of the investigation. But once they decide they make a directive that these people will be the investigators, they will report to this one and monitor, and the deputy will monitor the progress on a weekly basis. That on its own, for me, it was an instruction that you don't interfere here, staying in your lane. That is how I took it when I read that letter, because it was sent to me as well. The call-up is the establishment of this task team to deal with this. That's what recorded in me. Maybe that's why I'm saying I don't know what is the current status of the case. But there was no reports of some sorts that suggested that there are arrests or there is a recovery. Commissioners.
Thank you. Ms. Asa?
Thank you. Commissioners, I'm going to move off the Port Shepstone, so if there are any other questions from your side, I'm covered. I only have
one last point before you move off it. From Colonel Prinslow's statement that you gave us, and this is still about, the measures that would have been in place to secure this. It seems that it was known, it was out there somewhere that Port Shepstone is keeping this valuable haul of drugs. And I say that because in that paragraph 10...
For now, that being the Madlanga Commission, this is the National Pulse. 4 o'clock, time for the news. Here's Ondela.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, repo rate remains unchanged and Ramaphosa extends term of Ngabinde inquiry. For SFM News, I am Ondela Mbana and a very good afternoon. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has decided to keep rates unchanged, leaving the repo rate steady at 6.75% and the prime lending rate at 10.25%. The bank says inflation has reached its peak for the year and is expected to remain under control. Reserve Bank Governor Lesija Kganyago says if the rand continues to strengthen and oil prices continue to drop, then interest rate cuts can be expected this year.
We assess the risks to the inflation outlook as balanced. Against this backdrop, the MPC decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 6.75%. Two members favored a cut of 25 basis points, while 4 preferred a hold. The quarterly projection model continues to forecast gradual rate cuts as inflation subsides.
The Justice Department has informed the Ngabinde inquiry that President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed a document to extend its term to the end of June this year. The inquiry was officially established by Ramaphosa in September last year, was set to expire today. The inquiry aims to determine whether South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Andrew Chauke, is fit to hold office. The inquiry's chairperson, retired Justice Bess Ngabinde, says they have received correspondence from the Justice Department confirming the extension.
After our discussion, the Minister called to confirm that the President has signed a document signifying his consent to extend the term of this inquiry. We anticipated that we will probably need up to June to finalize the hearings.
Questions have been raised as to why KwaZulu-Natal Hawks head General Lesija Sinona chose a storage facility in Port Shepstone to store drugs that were seized in a police operation. In November 2021, drugs were stolen at the storage facility months after Sinona assumed the position of Hawks head in the province. Furthermore, evidence presented before the Madlanga Commission has also shown that there were reports of other break-ins at the facility dating back to 2011. Responding to Commissioner Sandile Khumalo, Sinona says it did not cross his mind to inquire about the storage facility.
Did you not inquire about the facility before you took the decision that the drugs should be stored there?
It never crossed my mind. I didn't, Commissioner.
So your reliance on the 2018 incident, that was after the fact. It's not like you had investigated and determined that this is a safe facility.
Johannesburg Executive Mayor Dada Morero says there are signs of improved service delivery under his leadership despite rising political pressure against him. Morero is facing a motion of no confidence in the city council brought by minority party Al Jama with the support of other minority parties. The parties have since written to ANC structures urging Morero to step aside over ongoing service delivery failures. During his opening address of council, Morero insisted that residents are already experiencing positive change in the city.
These parties voted for Dada Barrera in June last year, so there was a no confidence vote and they were perfectly happy to support him. There's effectively, objectively, no real difference between service delivery then and now. So it suggests that this is not about service delivery, this is about probably patronage politics tied to the possibility of a new ANC chairperson taking control of the mayor's seat. That might be the driving force. That's not really a governance issue. That's really about a change in the face of what has been a pretty disastrous coalition government.
Technology company Microsoft and the South African Broadcasting Corporation, the SABC, have launched an artificial intelligence education service on the SABC Plus platform. Microsoft South Africa CEO Vukani Mkhwanazi says the launch of this program will go a long way in ensuring future employment for the country's youth. He says this offering on the public broadcaster's platform is a survival responsibility for the nation. Mkhwanazi was speaking at Microsoft AI Tour 2026 conference at the Sandton Convention Centre in Johannesburg.
Our point of view is if we skill our people now with the right type of tools in technology, because we know this tech is going to revolutionize how we think, we can therefore be ahead of the game as opposed to catching up. Because if we play catch up, unfortunately we're going to impact our unemployment even worse.
Recapping the top story, the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has decided to keep rates unchanged, leaving the repo rate steady at 6.75% and the prime lending rate at 10.25%. I'm Mondolambara for SFM News Headlines at 4:30.
In sports, the Sao Renica earns maiden call-up as Proteas woman named squad for Pakistan series. Mozambique parts ways with Conde after historic AFCON run, and Serena Williams refuses to rule out return to tennis. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
There's a crash on the N3 northbound at Van Buren Road and a stationary vehicle on the R21 northbound before Babsfontein Road. KZN, a stationary vehicle on the N3 southbound after Sidara Road and a stationary vehicle on the N3 southbound after Cliffdale Interchange. In Cape Town, there's a stationary vehicle on the R300 northbound at Old Paarl Road and a crash on the N2 inbound at Jakes Harwell Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, glad you connected to the National Pulse. At some stage today, the Madlanga Commission will adjourn, and then till tomorrow, then we'll replace that with the ad hoc committee. But in the meantime, when we have these moments, these brackets of no commissions, it gives us a chance to talk to you. So what you can do then, send us a WhatsApp comment right now in terms of what for you, what do you want to get off your chest regarding the two big issues, the ad hoc and the Madlanga today. And there can be other things, including the Reserve Bank repo rate too, that's remained unchanged, and so on and so on. So send it to us. We'll bank it, we'll play it. But for now, let's get back to the Madlanga Commission.
You are
Yes, Ms. Hassan.
What I'm handing up is a circular issued by the National Commissioner on 30 December 2024.
We got two. Yes, Mrs.
The date is on the last page. It's 30 December 2024. It's a circular by the National Commissioner, General Masemola, and it relates to the processing of personal information. And I just wanted to ask you, General, whether you're aware of this circular. Have you seen the circular before?
I'm not quite 100% sure, but I'm aware of the POPIA Act.
Okay, we don't need to go through it in detail. I just want to draw your attention to just a couple of things. The first is the first paragraph. The management of the South African Police Service has noted with concern that personal information of persons is leaked to various social media platforms or recipients who are not entitled to have access to the information. This constitutes the unlawful processing of personal information. Do you see that?
Yes, Commissioners.
And then if you just turn over to paragraph 4, the circular says in the second sentence, second sentence of paragraph 4, in terms of Section 70 of the South African Police Services Act, it is prohibited to share official information with persons who are not employed by the SAPS or who are employed by the SAPS but are not entitled to access or view such information. So this, for me, is relevant to the questions that I was asking you regarding the Nangi documents that you sent to Kat Matlala. Would you agree that that would be in violation of this circular, submitting those documents to Mr. Matlala?
It is not, because I said this thing was in the public domain. I didn't take information from the police and give it to him. If I took information maybe from an office of the police that was not in the public domain and shared it with him, yes, I will be in violation. But in this instance of what you were asking me earlier, it is not in violation.
I think you need to read the circular quite closely then, so that you can apprise yourself of what the requirements are. It's quite specific, and paragraph 6 goes on to say employees may not indiscriminately forward message to groups, even SAPS groups, without first determining whether the recipients should have access to the information. So what the thrust of the circular is saying is that sensitive information, personal information, official documents of the SAPS should not be transmitted to any recipient not entitled to have access. It doesn't say that if it's already out in the public domain, then you may continue to do so.
Can you see that there's a gap that the employer must deal with it? Because it talks about here SAPS groups that are being created to deal with SAPS issues. But coming to the issue of Mr. Nangi, this was in a public domain but not in the SAPS groups.
No.
Even if you disagree with me, you say no, but commissioners, I never took information from SAPS groups and sent it to Mr. Matlala. Specifically that one of Mr. Nangi that the advocate is referring to. So, and this document, I must inform the commissioners, I got it during lunch. I didn't even happen to read and consult my legals with. I was busy eating and resting my mind to come back and respond to questions. So now I'm responding, I'm told no. If we don't agree, we don't agree, it's still okay.
We certainly don't agree. I did speak to your legal representatives and requested and confirmed with them that they would be fine with me bringing this to the attention of the Commission, and the purpose of which I wanted to do it. And I want to suggest that you are playing with words again by saying, now you see this, it's talking about SAPS groups, and this is not, and it's public domain, because the first paragraph I read to you could not be more plain. It says that the management is concerned, has noticed with concern that personal information of persons is leaked to various social media platforms or recipients who are not entitled to have access to the information. This constitutes the unlawful processing of personal information. It doesn't matter that somebody else has already transmitted this information. the duty is incumbent on each individual within the SAPS to comply with this. That's what I'm putting to you.
Commissioners, my understanding is the information in possession of the state. The information in possession of the state. That is my understanding of this paragraph.
Commissioners, sorry to interject. When we did have the conversation about this particular document, our legal team was okay with, of course, giving the document to Major General Sonona. However, I did state to the evidence leader that if Major General Sonona needs additional time to familiarize himself with the document, I think that it would only be fair that he take that time upon request to familiarize himself with the document. So if Major General Sonona is saying that perhaps maybe he needs additional time, then perhaps maybe the Commissioner should allow him additional time to sit with it a little bit longer, further consider it, and then perhaps maybe the evidence leader can continue.
I've not heard him say so, though. I'm understanding the General to be engaging with Ms. Hassim on the interpretation of the document. I did not once hear him say that he needs more time, unless I misheard.
And it was not conveyed to me, Chair, that he needs more time.
Sorry.
It was not conveyed to me that he needs more time. If it were conveyed to me, then I wouldn't have gone here.
I've not heard him say so, Ms. Or are you saying?
No.
You are, or are you asking that the General should be given more time?
Chairperson, I was merely informing the Commissioners of the discussion that I had with the evidence leader. That's the only thing that I was stating. It just seemed as if Major General Sonona is, as he had stated that it was during lunchtime, he did not have enough time to actually go through the document. So as much as he did not say, I need more time, he indirectly communicated to the Commissioners that it was during lunchtime. He did not have sufficient time to actually look through the document.
It's a 4-page document. It's 16 minutes past 4. Let's take a 5. Would 5 minutes be enough, General, for you to just go through the document? But as I said, I did not once hear you complain about needing time to go through the document. But let's just take a 5-minute adjournment. That will also help us with a body break. Will 4 minutes be enough for you to just go through the document?
10. I
10.
asked for 10.
That's in order.
It must be placed on record. I get this thing at lunch today.
Yes.
A new document again. It must be noted by the commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. At least you've indicated you want 10 minutes. Then 16:27. Let's adjourn.
For another 10 minutes, and we will reconnect with the Madlanga Commission then, right? Okay, what it does mean, as I've said earlier on, that's why these voice notes are important. It's a one opportunity to talk to you during these breaks. We've got this window, so if you have messaged us, we've banked it, and we're going to play them right away. But if we haven't, well, you can do so right now. You can do that, even maybe call in live as well. You've got all those options available. Tweet as well, using the hashtag The National Pulse. Later on, when the Madlanga Commission, depending on what time it ends, will cross over to the ad hoc committee as well. And then there's significant developments regarding, action to be taken based upon testimony at the various commissions, which we'll talk about after 5 o'clock. Thanks for joining us here on the National Pulse.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
We're going to take some WhatsApp comments. The first one is about the repo rate.
Ashraf, that Reserve Bank governor must stop telling us about poems. You rather just send the messages to those people who are related to. A poor person on the class level doesn't know, doesn't even want to know what exactly he's talking about. He needs just to send those messages to Rupert and Oppenheimers. It's them who needs to know about those things, not us here at class level. Thank you.
So then what is his job then? Like, I'm just thinking about what you're just saying. What then is his job? You might as well just call it a day. So who makes the decision then about the repo rate and interest rates, whether it goes up or down? If he effectively might just send a message to, the Ruperts and everybody else and not you, what then must he do? Let's get another.
Hi Ashraf, it's Sunday in Durban. Listening to Madlanga commissioned ad hoc. Is there a place one can go where they can get, I don't know if it's mental help or what? Lately when I listen to politicians speaking and listening to Madlanga commission, I just get angry and frustrated. Like, how can these people do such things? It makes me very angry, very, very angry. Like even the Hawks guy who's talking today, the lies from the day one, he's talking lies. It makes me angry. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Well, don't apologize for him making you angry. You're entitled to feel angry if you are.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf Mbongo Sondisa Mboyisa here. Mr. Ashraf, I'm happy that the president took the decision that he took, that the national commissioner should inform a task team that will deal with the recommendations and investigation of the Madlanga commission. But then it must not be a matter of like some animals are more equal than others. What about the Zondo commissions? You are supposed to say they must start there. We've got on that the Mandashe there, who have the security installations of about 300,000 in their houses. What is happening with the recommendation and the investigations of the Zondo Commission? You must start by Kwete Mandashes there, please, man.
I hear you. I think, for the purpose of now, obviously that's his focus. It doesn't mean you can't ask them to go back to what's happened there. But for this purpose, that's the decision made, right? Okay, let's get to Middleburg now. We got Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
I just want to say, we knew we were in trouble, but goodness me, what's coming out here, the head of the Hawks in KZN, it's an absolute liar. I just can't get my head around it. We're in much bigger trouble in this country than what we thought. And then the other thing is, it came out in the news. What's happened to Sibia and Ntunu? Why aren't they on that investigation list?
Well, now, okay, I hear you, but listen, if you maybe, and we'll have this conversation after 5 o'clock about now that the president has formed a task team to, in fact, now look to prosecuting coming out of the conversations that have emerged from now. So then you'll have your answers. Yeah? But your point, Daniel, you're not the only person who are so infuriated by how Sinona comes through. We just hear that across the board on the show. So
it's unreal. I can't believe a general can do this and expect clever people that the commissioners must believe him. It's unreal. Thank you, Ashraf.
Thank you. From unreal, let's get to something real. Here's one.
Good day, Ashraf. LK here. You see, to me and I are in the same WhatsApp group. I also favor Real Madrid. But last night I was vouching for Jose because I am a big fan. And I was glued on the screen, and when the goalkeeper did the, indescribable feat, I was on my feet.
And the goalkeeper was using his head, right, of all things, and you were on your feet. Well, points taken. The drama was just quite incredible. And sometimes you wonder why people fuss about football or sport, in fact. And there's an example why they fuss about sport. When you deliver drama like a goalkeeper scoring in the 97th minute of a game and Mourinho hugging the ball boy. And like 50 people from the touchline all stormed on the pitch in celebration while effectively the game was still on, right? Ichani in Limpopo, hi.
Hi, how are you, Asha?
Yeah, good talking to you. Thank you. Right, go for it.
Yeah, Asha, just want to take 1 minute. I mean, with all these people, listening to the Madlanga Commission, who interviewed these people? Because, you ask yourself, do they even went to the normal interview, got interviewed like a normal person? Because they lie each and every day. Who's responsible for them? Who's taking the accountability? It's the question that I have, because we see all this commission, happen and stuff, but we don't see where it goes. At the end of the day, everything just goes under the carpet.
Well, listen, your point is taken, and many people have been asking those questions. How do they get hired? How do they get hired? But then maybe the answer would be they get hired because the processes are not normal, meaning there are shortcuts to ensure certain people specifically get positions. I'm not saying that's true. That has been what has come through, and that is why they get hired, and not you, for example. Okay, Itani, thank you for that. Let's get to Anonymous. Thanks for that. Thanks for calling in here, right? Right, another comment on the Madlanga Commission. Anonymous, hi.
Ashraf.
Yeah.
It's me in Kaltenview. I don't understand the fact that our general doesn't know classified information, and even worse part is he sent an information to someone who is outside SAPS. How did he get that rank? Lastly, I don't know, should I say worse or bad, our president is saving 3 IDs. How is that possible? The person who is supposed to protect our constitution, who are we going to trust from now on? They must all go rot in jail. If I was the judge, I was going to give them triple life sentence for messing up South Africa. This is our Mkhwanazi. We love it, Baba.
Okay.
Thank you.
A triple life sentence. Butana, let's get your thoughts. Hi, Butana.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Hey, first time this year we're talking, man.
Yes. I'm not surprised, nor shocked. I'm expecting this situation. The ANC has been given the opportunity to solve the crime in intelligence. They choose not to do. They were given opportunity to deal with the independence of SIU. They ignored the court order. What do you expect? What do you expect, my brother? They ignored the Zondo Commission findings. What do you expect? And by the way, the intelligence and the Hawks, they are waiting for the ANC, not for us. Not for us, South Africans. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked.
Okay.
And the president is just bluffing. He's just bluffing. He's telling us that he set up the committee to deal with the findings, what is happening. Why can't he release that report? It's the same thing that they've done with their friends. They don't release the report, and when they died, then the report has been released. It's so unfair to South Africa.
Okay, Butana, you are furious. You're not the only person, by the way. Thank you for that. In terms of the Zondo Commission, who actually blocked? It's an interesting one. Who blocked, if anything, according to Butana's claims? But in terms of now, the president's already said, based upon what has already come through, there will be a proper investigation into those things. And we're talking about trial, right? Being charged, okay? And that we'll talk about it after 5 o'clock. Okay, thanks for that. Staying from Rosebank to Parktown in Joburg, Vuyizwa. You're live. Go for it.
Yes, thank you, Ashraf. I think the problem here is that these guys, like the very general that is on testifying now, they all work for what you call underworld, and they need to expose their masters. And with Ket Maklala, because you can hear the guy and Ket Maklala are together in whatever they are doing, and he's lying in such a way that I've never come across a liar like this one, And we need to know, when is Mahumela coming into the Madlanga trust? the whole Tembisa issue, because it's coming up, but we need it in full report so that he can also come. And why is he not on the list of the people that are going to be the task team that the president has instructed Kachalia, Professor Kachalia?
Well, look, we'll
why
find.
Is he not on that list?
All right, I can't answer that. Of course, we'll find out. I think all those questions, lots of questions, they need to be answered. Vuyiswa, thank you for that. Right, let's take another quick call before we get to the news. Sam in Durban, hello.
Hi, Ashraf.
Yeah, hi, Sam.
Quickly, I won't be long. Yeah, so I think, you know what, there's no hindrance in this country. We don't have the death penalty. China executed 2 families of 11 individuals yesterday. They were operating from the border of Myanmar, and they frauded people for billions of dollars. And the Chinese government executed them. We need something like this in this country, otherwise we're moving nowhere. We need executions, otherwise we're going nowhere.
Okay, I hear you out, Sam. That has been spoken about often enough, and there's the counter to that in terms of the Constitution. But yes, there are sufficient numbers of people who have called in, like Sam, and like, hey, that needs a rethink. What has that got us into now in terms of our human rights and protecting the sanctity of life, no matter what and who the person is? There is this counter argument to say, well, yeah, has that worked for the benefit of the people of South Africa? Hold on to that thought. Let's get the news headlines. It's 4:30. Years on Della.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has decided to keep rates unchanged, leaving the repo rate steady at 6.75% and the prime lending rate at 10.25%. Former KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Moipone Noko, has denied claims by the evidence leaders at the Nkabindi inquiry that she refused to testify. And KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Transport, Siboniso Duma, says the owners, together with both drivers of the truck and the taxi involved in a crash south of Durban, should be charged with murder. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, a stationary vehicle on the N12 eastbound after Edenville Road and a crash on the N3 northbound at Van Buren Road. In KZN, a stationary vehicle on the N3 southbound after Kato Ridge Engine 1 stop and a stationary vehicle on the N3 northbound after Peter Brown interchange. In Cape Town, the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound, queuing towards Hospital Bend and Kloofneck Road outbound, slow moving through Tamboerskloof. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
I'm coughing. But there's no choking. You've got a story about the Proteas.
Yeah, South Africa will aim to wrap up the series when they face West Indies in the second T20 International. It's in Turin today. The Proteas made a strong start to the series with a dominant 9-wicket win in the opening match in Paarl. And after the disappointment of losing the 2024 T20 World Cup final, South Africa are now building momentum and are being tipped as one of the strongest teams for the upcoming tournament. Staying with cricket, former South African under-19 captain Kayla Renneker says has been called up to the Proteas women's squad for the first time as part of the T20 squad that will take on Pakistan at home from the 10th of February. The 20-year-old becomes the latest former youth international to graduate into the senior team, following the steps of Karabo Mesu, Miane Smith and the likes of Ayanda Hlubi. And coach Mandla Mashimbi has explained what led to Renneker being picked for the 3-match series, saying that she brings a fresh dynamic into the team.
Kayla is an off spinner, of which we've been struggling to get of late. We don't have an off spinner that's playing for our team. We've got bowlers that take the ball away from a batter, not into the batter. And also she's a good batsman. And in terms of T20 cricket, she's very explosive. So we felt that, that is probably the right mix we're looking for from a Kayla point of view. And also, she was S19 captain. She's got a good cricket brain on her, and she's done well domestically as well. and we just had a camp a few days ago, and she showed a lot of promise as well. So I like what I hear about her, and I like what I saw when I had an opportunity to see what she can do.
In football, Mozambique coach Chiquinho Conde will not have his contract renewed. This is despite leading the team to their first Africa Cup of Nations knockout stage in Morocco. Now, the Mambas beat Gabon to reach the round of 16 before failing 4-0 to Nigeria. The Mozambican Football Federation confirmed Conde's deal ends Saturday, and the search for a new coach has begun. In rugby, Stormers loose forward Ben Jason Dixon says that the quick turnaround against the Sharks presents an immediate chance to respond following last week's 30-19 United Rugby Championship defeat at the DHL Stadium. The result brought an end to the Cape side's 8-match unbeaten run in the URC and also delivered the Sharks their first ever league win at the venue. Now, with the teams meeting again on Saturday at Kings Park in Durban, Dixon says that the focus has been on sharpening execution, particularly at line-out time where small margins proved costly.
Great opportunity to fix the things that we flagged in the review and that we saw in the game that they beat us and that they edged us with. So one of the things is the lineouts. Otherwise, they scored a few more tries against us. So we want to fix those things because we think we're competitive. We believe we're competitive and we can beat them in those areas. So big focus points, and there are also lots of positives out of the game. Obviously, as a collective, and if you watch it as a supporter also, you could see we were well beaten, but we don't think we're too far off. So lots of things to work on, but good opportunity.
In boxing, Tyson Fury will return to the ring on the 11th of April in the UK against Arslanbek Mahmudov, with the winner set to earn a high WBC world ranking. Fury, who announced his retirement at the start of 2025 and set out this last season, is making a comeback, welcomed by WBC President Mauricio, who called him a sensational ambassador for boxing. In tennis, Australian Open chief Craig Tiley says that it's a fine line between player promotion and privacy after stars complained about backstage cameras. The debate flared when Coco Gauff was filmed squashing her racket after a quarterfinal defeat, with Iga Swiatek likening the intrusion to a zoo. Now, Tiley stressed that locker rooms and recovery areas remain off limits, but acknowledged that players' concerns and promised adjustments to ensure comfort while still connecting fans and athletes. In the meantime, Serena Williams has sparked fresh talk about a possible return to tennis. This is after saying that she has not ruled it out. The 23 Grand Slam champion, who is now 44 and a mother of two, has not played a professional match since losing in the third round of the 2022 US Open. She rejoined the tennis anti-doping testing program in December, which led to rumors of a comeback, though she later played them down. So we are yet to see if Serena Williams will come back. But Ashraf, this fine line between promotion and privacy for the tennis players, the whole thing that we discussed the other day, Coco Gauff saying that she thought it was a private moment for her when she was smashing her racket. And now other, obviously, players supporting her. And they even say, are we animals in the zoo for you guys to film us when we are busy doing our private stuff?
Just to confirm, that was in the dressing room, right?
That was
so
in
it's
the
not
dressing
on
room.
court.
It wasn't on court, yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at the same example of the dressing rooms of, the football teams and cricket and rugby, that coverage in the dressing room would normally be as per the knowledge of the players, normally.
Yes.
When you're celebrating and they know there's cameras and they've won the cup.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's cameras and they're not aware of it, that would be wrong.
Yes, because I'm assuming that Coco didn't think there's cameras.
Yeah, because literally, however they want to vent off air away from the public gaze, that's completely their business. The flip side of that is, and I don't know if it's a fine line, I think it's a clear-cut line, that if it's a dressing room and it's off limits, it's off limits. On the other hand, all these players, they thrive on the public adoration,
True.
Not only based on their performances, but how people lap up to them. And that allows them to gain huge endorsement deals based
Yeah.
upon their status in terms of awareness. So they need the currency of you and I talking about them. They do need that.
They do, but I think Coco knew what she was doing. She was like, I'm going to walk off court. I don't want people to see me, and I'm going to do whatever I'm doing in the dressing room. I had a chuckle actually seeing a tweet between herself and Serena Williams, and Serena was like, you must come to me. I'll coach you how to just slam
Do
that
it
racket
properly.
once.
There we are. There we are. Good stuff.
I'll have more on other sports in the next hour.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
As always, Mkhwanazi has got all the numbers from Mkhwe Fund Managers. You've got news about the Woolies and the interim trading results, right?
Yes, Ashraf, the group turnover up 5.4%, sales up 6.1%, with positive sales growth in all segments, notwithstanding the constrained macroeconomic environment that's across SA and Australia. Food business continued to gain market share because of their premium food offering. Fashion, beauty and home benefited from improved product availability, which was maintained over Black Friday and the festive season. Although trading conditions in Australia and New Zealand appear to be gradually improving, the retail sector remains challenging and highly promotionally driven. Profit as headline earnings per share expected to increase by 12%, and Ashraf has expected the U.S. left interest rates unchanged in an overnight decision and offered an upbeat outlook when it comes to the economy. Ahead of our own interest rate decision, we were divided on a hold or a cut, though forward rate agreements that we normally use to speculate on borrowing costs implied a 52% chance of a 25 basis point cut. The rand firmed as the dollar fell, halting yesterday's bounce as the return of the so-called debasement trade outweighed U.S. Treasury Secretary affirmation of a stronger dollar policy. Ashraf, debasement trade is when people buy hard assets like gold and real estate, that is to protect their wealth from the perceived loss of value, that is the debasement in traditional fiat currencies like the U.S. dollar. But later in the session, our own interest rate decision was exactly what the U.S. did, a hold, but still expecting 2 rate cuts this year. The only difference was that our president didn't criticize our Reserve Bank governor, unlike Trump, who criticized his. Oil prices hitting a 4-month high on rising concerns about a possible U.S. military attack on Iran. Remember, this is OPEC's fourth largest producer with an output of almost 3.2 million barrels a day. As we're talking, Brent crude is up 5% at $71 a barrel. The very same concerns around a possible attack on Iran lifted gold price to new record highs, up 2% at 5,533. Platinum up 4% at 2,803. Global stocks trimmed gains as AI spending doubts resurfaced, with the JSE up 0.7%. Rand firmed 0.6% against the dollar, was sitting at 1566, 2169 against the pound, and 1877 against the euro.
Right, thanks for that, Mark. Don't forget, Jimmy Moyaha comes up 1 hour of a dip into the markets in detail, that is, from 6 to 7 this evening.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
No question, based upon the anecdotes we're receiving from you via WhatsApps, everybody's eyes are fixed, eyes and ears fixed on the Madlanga Commission. So let's get back then. You've got 2 voices, Major General Lesetja Senona, and then you'll have Advocate Adila Hassan.
Indeed, Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Mafisa. General, thank you very much for a long 3 days of testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Am I excused?
No. 3 days, 4 days. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, General.
I'm checking, Commissioner. Am I excused?
Yes, General.
Da.
You are excused, and thank you very much. Thank you, General.
Okay, Saman. Da.
Really, thank you.
Thank you, General.
Are we continue at 9:30 tomorrow?
I believe so, Chair.
It's the end. I don't mean literally the end of it's the end of Senona for the commission. 3 days non-stop, marathon 3 days, right? Just too short of a 5-day test match, if you get my point. They'll resume tomorrow. We will certainly connect with the ad hoc committee because that's what we've been trying to do. But we also have an option now, and we're gonna get some of your thoughts after this.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
As always, wherever you are, big cities, small cities, towns, dorpies, in South Africa, outside of South Africa, every one of you linked to the umbilical cord that is the national pulse as we get a grasp of the pulse of the nation. So let's get some of your thoughts. Senona, predictably, top of the agenda. All right. In fact, let's... okay, let me just see if we can play it from the other side. There's some technical issues that we need to deal with. Okay, we'll get to that in just a moment. Let me just remind you, by the way, as far as podcasts are concerned, you can go to our safm.coza, then podcast, then the National Pulse. You find all the big interviews we've done. You'll find it, listen to it, share it to your WhatsApp and your networks. Do that.
We are listening together with you on the Madlanga Commission. This guy, the copy and other information that are related. It's quite clear he does not deserve to be sitting there. He must just go home. He cannot defend these questions. I ask you clearly about sharing of information, and you tell me it's not in the public domain. It is in the public domain. You clearly don't understand what you're doing. After sitting at Madlanga Commission, he must just resign before he get the embarrassment of being fired.
Right. Lots of people say you must just resign. Well, will he resign on his own? Just on his own, I wonder.
General Simona just made it easy for him to collect those drugs, cocaine, whatever, with his syndicate to make money for himself and his friends. That's why security was not taken into consideration.
Okay, that's what you think, so he's now free to do what he wants. Well, listen, there's no question, and I said so yesterday as well. Find me one person who has spoken glowingly of Senona, or in fact, if not even glowingly, just said something that's reasonably praiseworthy, or, even like objectively neutral to say, well, Hassan, there's some aspects I'm impressed by him. I admire that part about him. I have not heard that once. So here's the question. If that's the down guy or the fall guy for now, who so far in the Madlanga Commission, certainly for this year, 2025, who has come across in a way that you're saying, hey, man, that person has impressed me? Name that person. In the meantime, think about this.
Ashraf, the arrogance of Senona, and it's worse because he chose whom to disrespect. But I can tell you, this guy, please guys, no. I'm so down and spirited.
Okay, well, there you are, a sense of disillusionment. But I mean, should you be disillusioned at the state of play, but also should you be hopeful that something's being done about it?
Hi, Ashraf. Luis from Pretoria. Ashraf is so disappointing. It's so disappointing. The whole general teaching his child corruption. Yeah? We are led.
We are led. You may say we are not led. Here's another.
You know what? Mr. Senona, General Senona, whatever, he's a professional liar. But it's fine because we now know and we see now that the entire country is beyond repairs, and we don't know what can be done, because Babolile, bonke babolile. Thank you. It's Hani in Dundee.
You see, I think what's come through for many people, listening is one thing, being entertained is another, being hooked onto it is another, but every person listening in to the ad hoc committee and the Madlanga Commission, they want results. They want the type of results that they have not seen with the Zondo Commission. Never mind, that also gripped us for months on end. And there's a sense of then after what happened. And if you're not going to get the results and action that follows it, then what? So as we talk right now, I get a sense there are many people sort of holding on to this rope and saying, please rescue us. We need the results. We need to move on from where we are as a country to something much better.
Good day, Ashraf and the listeners. With regards to the announcement by the president announcing a parallel structure to sort of like task him to look at the prosecutorial material for whatever the recommendations from the Madlanga Commission are coming out to say. Take the PKTT task team that has already uncovered all this rot. Take those guys, give them the files from Madlanga Commission and Aikale once. Let those guys just go in hard on what has come out. Don't set up another structure and monies that will be needed and so on. Get the PKTT guys, dust them up, give them the new mandate, let them go hard on these guys. That will solve all of our problems right now. Melusi, Cape Town.
Okay, so you're basically saying let them start working, right? Absolutely, let them work.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. That general, he needs to be jailed. In every workplace company, you are not allowed to send out any company information to people who are not employed in that company. So how come he doesn't know that any requires 10 minutes to go through a docket which he's supposed to be privy of since he's the head of his department, the Hawks, no Hawks. Thank you, Ashraf. Have a good day.
Okay, you see that's another one, and again the general concern is there all of the time. We're going to have more, so do keep them coming, and if we don't play them live, we'll bank it and play them as soon as we can. Either way, we understand that you have this, you do have this need to get it off your chest. There's no way you can be listening to the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee all day, as many people are, and then not have an opinion, and you want to share it and you want to get it off your chest. So yeah, we'll give it a chance. Come on, get it off your chest.
Get Barter school shoes at Spar for 75 Rand when you spend 350 Rand or more and swipe your rewards card. Buy 1 litre Spar Long Life Milk, 6-pack, full cream or low fat for 89.99 plus 200 megs free on Spar Mobile. Or 750-gram Nescafe Real Coffee tin or 800-gram pouch for 129.99 plus 300 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Price is valid from 20 Jan till 8 Feb while stocks last. Only at Spar. T's and C's apply.
Sorry I'm late, Sevi. Had to fetch my lucky putter. No worries. Let's go. We're teeing off in an hour. Great. We're taking your car. Can't. It's already taken. What do you mean taken? It was right here when I left a few minutes ago. I sold it to Weber Cars and made a whole lot of green. Birdie told me that's the best way to sell your car. Not only the best way, it's the fair way. Kom ons vat die pad.
Don't be doof, be savvy. We buy cars geared for a fast sale, geared for you.
As the nation seeks answers, SAFM brings you live, uninterrupted coverage of Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee investigating allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. You can also stay up to date with the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System. Stay informed, stay connected. Tune in live on SAFM 104 to 107 and follow the coverage across our digital platforms live on Facebook, X and YouTube at SAFM Radio. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365, Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
For 90 years, one voice has informed, challenged, and connected a nation. SAFM, South Africa's national English public radio station. Established in 1936 as the SABC's very first service, the A program, evolving through the English service, Radio South Africa, to SAFM in 1995, shaping thought and strengthening democracy. From a full-spectrum station to a trusted home of news and talk, SAFM continues to lead the conversations 90 years strong. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
All right, let's get back to the many voice notes that we are getting. So I need to hear you out.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. That general, he needs to be jailed. In every workplace company, you are not allowed to send out any company information to people who are not employed in that company. So how come he doesn't know that any requires 10 minutes to go through a docket which he's supposed to be privy of, since he's the head of his department, the Hawks Nochals. Thank you, Ashraf. Have a good day.
All right. Well, listen, I think do listen to what's going to come up next. We'll have that conversation that's emerged from what the president is planning next after 5 o'clock.
Good afternoon, Ashraf and the listeners. This is Nati from Cape Town. Ashraf, tell me, how does the Concord chooses cases? You remember Moradi Cholota's case was last year. They made a ruling on it. Now we're still waiting on the judgment on Phala Phala. Even now, there's nothing coming in. What's happening? We need someone to tell us what's happening. How do they get to select cases? Is it a matter of priority or what? Thank you.
I think maybe you've just answered the question. It is the priority. I mean, I'm not there. Maybe, unfortunately, one of the things this year, because of the Madlanga Commission and ad hoc, there's lots of things we want to do. And I think one of them is like an idiot's guide, an explainer about like what goes on with with Concord, for example. How do they make these calls, right? But my sense, it's priority versus time. And they will have the packing order in terms of time, priority, and urgency.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Hey, Ashraf. Hey, Zatuma Kamadang. Yo, General Sinono now is Mr. Assumed. I assume you should give me a chance to answer in under assumptions and assumed. To use the word assumed, give me a chance to use this word assumed. And this man is very evasive. He's running away. He doesn't want to help the commission. He is only there to lie. This man is the one whom they are looking for. I'm telling you.
Okay. And you said assumed. Often people say alleged, like there's not even alleged at the moment.
Ashraf, are you well? Compliments of the new season with your team in studio. It's Uncle JJ, the truck driver. Eish! Chief head of Hawks. He's a liar. Yes, no, I can't remember. It's for my son to put something on the table. What's that? He must just accept. He's guilty. Yo, Ashraf.
Okay. That new season is now almost an old season, but I take the compliment and best wishes for you for 2026.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I was wondering what happened to Brown Mkhwanazi? Wasn't he supposed to appear at the ad hoc committee today and tomorrow consecutively? There's no information in the news about it. I was just wondering what happened to the crook who's actually now afraid to be cooked. Daniel here in Bryanston.
I'll actually find and get an update on that with Temba and Keys, my producers, just to find out why, if he didn't pitch, what exactly happened. Right? Let me get a couple more before we get to the news.
Hi, Ashraf. Tarizi in Bethlehem. I need to understand something, Ashraf. General Sinona needs time to read a circular, a work document that was sent to him a while back. He needs time to familiarize himself with a work document that he should have read, understood, and even relayed the messages to his junior staff. But he needs time to familiarize himself with such a document. How? What other policies, what other documents doesn't he know that relates directly to his work?
I must say, I'm amazed how many things he cannot remember.
Good day, Ashraf. It's Johan from White River. Ashraf, with the Madlanga Commission, can somebody please just remind this man that he is the head of crime intelligence? He is not a layman. He answers all the questions like a layman. He is the head of crime intelligence. Surely that should put a difference in his answers.
Well, he does, and I think that's what we've heard from so many people, and that is why so many people are unconvinced around that issue, okay? Now, there's just been an update. The ad hoc committee, right, established to investigate allegations specifically around to subpoena Brown Mkhwanazi, right? I just want to double check, in fact, when is he due to come on? But we'll get an update on that in a moment. Let's get the news now. It's 5 o'clock. Here's Greg.
Thank you, Ashraf. Interest rates remain steady and some flights cancelled from Ethiopia's capital. Good day to you. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee's decided to keep interest rates unchanged, leaving the repo rate steady at 6.75% and the prime lending rate at 10.25%. Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago.
We assess the risks to the inflation outlook as balanced. Against this backdrop, the MPC decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 6.75%. Two members favored a cut of 25 basis points, while 4 preferred a hold. The quarterly projection model continues to forecast gradual rate cuts as inflation subsides.
The Madlanga Commission says significant progress has been made following the establishment of a task team assigned with implementing the Commission's recommendations to the President. The task team was established after the Commission's interim report referred 5 senior police officials for investigation. The amended deadline for the Commission's final report is the 17th of March. Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michaels.
There will be engagement between Justice Madlanga and the President regarding the time that the Commission requires, because, as we have said in recent days, since the Commission resumed its hearings for 2026, there is a very long list of witnesses who need to appear before the Commission. There's a long list of witnesses who are under subpoena. The Commission has to be fair to witnesses and ensure that proper process is followed.
The former KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Moponi Nokos, denied claims by evidence leaders at the Kimbinde inquiry that she's refused to testify. The inquiry is adjourned to next week when she is expected to take the stand. The inquiry is probing the fitness to hold office of the suspended South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Andrew Chauke. Chauke's legal representative, Advocate Tembeke Gugatobi.
On Monday, Advocate Noko's statement will be filed, will be exchanged with our learned colleagues, and on Wednesday, Advocate Noko is lined up to testify before this inquiry. We are consequently asking that the panel grant us a postponement until Wednesday next week, which will be the 4th of February, 2026.
The KwaZulu-Natal Transport MEC, Sibonisa Duma, says the owners, together with the drivers of a truck and taxi involved in a crash in Isipingo, south of Durban, should be charged with murder. The crash claimed the lives of 11 people, with the taxi driver and several other passengers sustaining critical injuries. The MEC says initial reports revealed that the truck was unroadworthy while the taxi was overloaded.
Already witnessed that the truck, the tires were worn, unfortunately, both the back and front. But the RTMC is still going to deal with that, which is why already even the truck driver was accompanied by subs. I'm sure the owner as well, it must be the same, because the taxi, unfortunately, was also overloaded. Instead of 15 passengers, they had 17 or 18, which is something that is not as well warranted. The team have already spoken to them. It's so unfortunate at this point in time because we're also looking for the PRDP of both drivers. And it's something that we must be stricter when it comes to those things.
Ethiopian Airlines has cancelled flights from the capital Addis Ababa to several airports in the northern Tigray region as tensions resurfaced there. The BBC's Michael Teferi has more.
Airline staff were told not to report to work. Passengers were notified via text message citing unforeseen circumstances. It comes amid fears of a renewed conflict between Tigrayan forces and the Ethiopian federal government. A 2022 peace deal ended a war over Tigray that killed 500,000 people, but disagreements have remained, including over disputed territories and delays to disarming of Tigrayan forces. One resident of Mekelle said hundreds of people queued today to withdraw money, but that many banks were out of cash.
The top story, the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee's decided to keep rates unchanged. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Cos.
In sports this hour, South Africa aiming to wrap up series against West Indies. Sports Challenge Showdown all set for today. And CAF hands down hefty sanction for Senegal. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound queuing towards Houghton Drive and a stationary vehicle on the N1 northbound before Buccleuch interchange. In KZN, the M13 westbound in Kloof queuing at the top of Fields Hill and the N2 southbound slow moving towards the M25 commercial highway exit. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound queuing towards Koeberg interchange and Main Road in Rondebosch queuing at Belmont Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Stay safe on the roads. SAFM is with you.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
It's an interesting thing about the Reserve Bank governor. We know it's unchanged, and he said they will have to see, depending on other factors, including the ongoing strengthening of the rand, before they'll consider another drop. I'm just wondering, and hey, I'm not the economist here, but the rand's been the best it's been for like forever. If this is not an incentive to be able to reduce interest rates, what would? Just think about it. I mean, what would be an ideal situation, considering where the rand is now, right? Okay, this is the plan. As always, you can send us a WhatsApp, and I'm glad so many people know what to do, even without me giving you the number. It just shows you, like our regulars, you just know the space. You've saved it on your phone, which is just fabulous, right? But Madlanga Commission, as you know, done for the day. They will cross to the ad hoc committee as soon as we can. But let's talk about this issue, which is something we've touched on all day today. So the president has announced that he studied the interim report submitted by the Madlanga Commission on the 17th of December last year. And he's accepted its recommendations. So that's important. According to the presidency, the report recommends, and this is key, immediate criminal, I'm saying with an emphasis, criminal investigations and urgent decisions on prosecutions, as well as recommendations on the employment status and recommended suspensions of several individuals implicated at the commission. Interestingly, the commission found that there's a prima facie evidence of wrongdoing and made referrals for investigations. So what does this mean? This is like most people have been like begging for this, right? So let's understand it. Dr. Leonard Max with me, former Western Cape Police Commissioner. Dr. Max, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure, Osman.
Thank you. So firstly, is this a good thing, what you've just heard?
Let me tell you first, I think it's important to say that the Madlanga Commission, and that is now inclusive of the panelists and evidence leaders, deserves my respect thus far. Secondly, I'm pleased that the President acts quickly in regard to the interim report. And in terms of his statement, he mentioned certain individuals who needs to be investigated because, according to him, there are actually evidence which incriminate them with alleged wrongdoing. Now, we've got also the IPID, the Independent Police Directorate. And there are questions as to why it is not preferred to IPID, because IPID got jurisdiction on both the SEPs as well as the Metro Police units. IPID process is very tedious. It takes a very long. And I think what the President had in mind is to, expedite these investigations by requesting that or instructing actually the National Commissioner and the Minister, the Acting Minister, to put together a task team, I think in my view, similar to the political killings task team, with the necessary resources to speed up these investigations.
Now, just offhand, what's the difference between the recommendations now, because we're talking about, criminal proceedings getting underway ASAP as long as, people identified as such, versus the Zondo Commission?
Yeah, the Zondo Commission is it's a problem. We didn't get the results which we actually expected to happen. But in regard to this, these are employees directly in the criminal justice system who are responsible to ensure the safety of the people, the residents of South Africa, and to ensure the legitimacy of the criminal justice system. And it is important that, you must also understand that the public trust in the police is at the all-time low of 22%. Now, these investigations will actually, as I indicated earlier, will fast-track the whole process, the task team. And although the IPID got jurisdiction over these two police institutions, we must not forget that the police got existing anti-corruption units. So it is also in the mandate of the police to investigate any corrupt act within their midst or criminal acts involve other people as well.
Okay. How do you see this then playing out? Meaning, if the president is setting up this team now to say there can be calls for immediate prosecutions, right, on the basis of criminal charges based upon what has been heard now at the Madlanga and the ad hoc committee. In practice, how do you see that playing out?
Let me tell you, I'm also practicing as a criminal advocate, criminal cases. The criminal side of these investigations will take some time. There's no quick fix, because lawyers will not be available, witnesses will not be available. It's a long, tedious process which is going to play off. We cannot expect something to happen in a couple of months, not even in 2026. So if any of these cases are finalized within this year, then it is a record. I must say in this process, there are two processes which can run concurrently. And that is your disciplinary process, because as far as I can determine in this letter, all of these, or most of them here, are actually serving officials in the South African Police Service. there are a couple of people, one or two, as in the Metro Police Department, which is not in the department anymore. Your disciplinary process is totally independent of your criminal process, and we will see much quicker results with regards to your disciplinary process. And I think it is for that reason that General Sanona was backing and pleading to the commission to be protected because the box is already busy to take action against him.
Now, one of the things that's come up, and maybe you can just explain from a legal perspective, when a person like Sanona is, and I'm going to use the word deliberately, in the dock, and you're going to obviously correct me, and I'm saying so deliberately, at the Madlanga Commission, what then would be the difference in terms of what a person like him has said and is likely to say if criminal charges are labeled against him, and as you said, that could take a long time, but if and when that does happen?
I can't hear you properly. I didn't catch the question.
I was saying that in terms of let's say Sanona right now at the Madlanga Commission, if by chance, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, if by chance there's a case for him to be prosecuted now, criminally so, right? What would then the difference be between his testimony now and when there's an attempt to prosecute him in terms of his defense then?
Yes, you see, the testimony there's a difference in testimony in the Madlanga Commission as well as in comparison with testimony in Parliament. You would notice that when a witness goes to Parliament and testify there, the witness is then warned or informed that whatever he or she actually say in that particular ad hoc committee, that evidence cannot be used against them in any other proceedings. Now that is different from Madlanga Commission. Here in the Madlanga Commission, everything is on record, and any criminal investigation which might continue or instituted against any of those who already gave evidence, that evidence can be used against them. But as I said, it's a tedious process. That I think I can guarantee you most of these police generals and brigadiers and the sergeant on the list will be within 6 months. They won't be with the police.
Okay, so wait, you're saying never mind what the prosecution process is, they won't be with the police. That means they'll be out of jobs. What? Suspended, fired, resigned? What?
It is irregardless of any criminal investigation. As I said earlier, the two are totally separate from each other. There's no link between. They must first complete the one, and then no provision for that. So it is independently, and that one will go quicker, much quicker than the criminal investigation, and also the outcome of the criminal investigation.
So therefore, would you say? Listen, there are many people calling in on these shows, very critical of Sanona now. They are, and about many others too, right? But at the back of their minds, many of the callers are like, listen, we are, to borrow a typically South African word, we are gatful on the one hand, but there's this nagging feeling that actually your frustration is that where it's going to stay. Frustration, nothing will actually come out of it. So I'm just saying that's what I hear. That's an echo of the public, right? What then is your thoughts? What are your thoughts, therefore, in terms of have these two, the ad hoc committee and the Madlanga Commission, have they worked? Are they serving their purpose? Is there a clear means to an end so that we can all say, actually, never mind to the skeptics, hey, this has really brought about significant results?
Let me say that is the expectation of all of South Africans who care and who fear for their lives in this criminal-infested country of ours, and where corruption prevails, unabated in this country. So that we want action, and the other commission didn't deliver the expected results, and people are very cautious and don't trust the process whenever the government or the president announced a commission of inquiry, and in this case, a special task team to investigate the implicated officers. I'm, as I said in the beginning, that the Madlanga Commission earns my respect. And this report in front of me now, and what we are talking about, is an indication that there are progress, but the end result is not with the Madlanga Commission. It is now the onus rests on the special task team, which obviously would actually have dedicated prosecutors which will actually assess the evidence available and put it on the court rolls and roll it as quick as possible. However, my great concern, although I appreciate the President, against all criticism, announcing this Madlanga Commission, and I think it was the right thing in the circumstances, and we in South Africans, we are much wiser now with regards to what is the problem within the police. And I also thank General Mkhwanazi for his bold step, to head on the 6th of July 2025 of that particular press conference. But I've got to worry. You can recall that before the Madlanga Commission were adjourned for the festive season, that Friday evening, they sat very late with Minister Mkhulu to finalize his evidence. Now, my assessment of that last hearing was they want to make sure that they finish him in order to indicate in the report, make recommendations to the President as far as his career or position is concerned. Now, I would assume and I suspect that given the seriousness on which they dealt with that, with Mkhulu, Minister Mkhulu, that evening, that in this interim report, there might be a recommendation with regards to Minister Mkhulu until I am being proven wrong. So one would like to see as in this particular letter, or maybe it will suit, that there's a decision about Minister Mkhulu. So that is still out there, that is not completed, and that is creates the mere fact that there's a delay in announcing that if the Madlanga Commission made a recommendation with regards to his future or the necessary steps they recommended that the President should take, a delay in executing that would actually cement the suspicion, of the South Africans in the fact that the ANC is protecting their comrades.
Okay, here's the last thing. Between, the move now for criminal charges and the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee, have we seen duplication, A? And based upon your answer, would you have done things differently?
No, I would say no. I think the process was fair. Each and everyone had an opportunity to explain themselves at the Madlanga Commission, and those who had an opportunity to do it at the ad hoc committee, they did so. And I think, as I said earlier, the quickest way in getting results is to put together a dedicated team with a dedicated prosecutors who assess the evidence which is gathered by the investigating officers and enroll those cases if there's any case to be answered by the implicated people. I think that is the quickest way, but we don't have any guarantee that any of those cases will be finalized in 2026 because the criminal justice system is not up to them to ensure that justice has been done as quick as possible. On the other hand, the only hope I got for speedy action and results is the disciplinary side of the investigation, which is totally independent from the criminal justice investigation.
You've left us with lots to consider. Much appreciate having this conversation with you, Dr. Leonard Max, the former Western Cape Police Commissioner. This, of course, linked to now what we know, that the president is going to take the advice of the commissions, the Madlanga Commission, and in fact will proceed with criminal charges, obviously relevant to that individual person, whoever that may be, or people, right? The question is, as Dr. Leonard Maxer says, how long will that take? Well, not going to happen in the next few months. This is the National Pulse.
For 90 years, one voice has informed, challenged, and connected a nation. SAFM, South Africa's national English public radio station. Established in 1936 as the SABC's very first service, the A program, evolving through the English service, Radio South Africa, to SAFM in 1995, shaping thought and strengthening democracy. From a full-spectrum station to a trusted home of news and talk, SAFM continues to lead the conversations 90 years strong. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, so the Madlanga Commission adjourned until tomorrow. The ad hoc committee is still very, very busy. And let's not delay. Let's join the live proceedings.
You are listening to the Ad Hoc Committee, live on SAFM.
Before the House or a Committee of Parliament may not be used against you in any court or place outside Parliament, except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. Please be aware that in terms of Section 17, subsection 2 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, a person who willfully furnishes a House or a Committee of Parliament with information or makes a statement before it which is false or misleading, commits an offence and is liable to a fine or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years. Mr. Mlandu, you are required to take an oath or affirm that the evidence you are about to give shall be truthful. Which one do you elect?
You can take an oath, Chairperson.
You have elected to take an oath. May you please follow me as I dictate. May you please say aye and state your names in full.
I, Mr. Mlandu.
So that the evidence I shall give
so that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth. And so help me God. Thank you so much, Advocate Arendse and Mr. Mlandu. Good luck in the presentation of evidence. We shall meet again at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members. Mr. Mlandu, you are currently employed in the office of the City Manager of the City of Johannesburg as a Special Projects Advisor.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? You say that in relation to the matters mainly concerning General Sabia, that you're going to talk to us about. You became aware of this from whistleblowers, reading documents, analyzing information that you had gathered since you were employed as the executive director. Was that in the city of Mkhwanazi?
No, it was in the city of Johannesburg.
In the city of Johannesburg itself.
Yes, sir.
From the period of 2018 November to August 2022.
Yes, sir.
And then you rejoined the city on the 1st of July 2023.
Yes, sir.
And you then say in your affidavit that since 12 July 2019 to date, you have been dealing with alleged rogue, clandestine, and unlawful activities of the former group head of Group Forensics and Investigation Services, Mr. Sabia, before they became of national security concern. The Mr. Sabia you referred to in your affidavit, is that the same General Sabia?
Yes, it is General Sabia.
Who's now under suspension. And then you're here because you say you are mentioned in a statement and the evidence of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, both before the Madlanga Commission and before the ad hoc committee. And therefore you're a witness in these proceedings.
Yes, when Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi appeared before the Madlanga Commission, in paragraph 259 up until to paragraph 266 of his statement, he addresses matters that pertains to me in relation to how I sought to prevent the re-employment of General Sabia by the South African Police Service. So he deals with that. He records reports that I would have submitted to the Minister of Police. But what he doesn't know, he only records one report, only to the Minister of Police. The same report was also sent to the Minister of Cocta, but there are two reports in all. There's another one of the 29th of July, which is a supplementary report. So, but he doesn't deal with that, so I will then, in my evidence, I'll be dealing with everything that I would have placed before the ministers, for the ministers to act.
Sorry, Honourable Chair. Do you want to address us and just give us some short background to the appointment, or before the appointment of General Sabia, before he was employed in the current position from which he's been suspended, of course, as Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioner of Crime Detection on 1 July 2022?
Yes. So when I wrote to the ministers, in the main, I wanted to communicate a message that they are about to appoint someone who, in actual fact, should be charged criminally. And I say this because all the evidence that we have here, even long before I write to the ministers, on the 22nd of April, General Sabia himself had voluntarily placed this evidence in his High Court affidavit. So by the time I write to the ministers, I write to the ministers on evidence that he himself has placed out there publicly. So what does this evidence then say?
Okay,
we'll capture this in paragraph.
Okay, we'll just hold that for the moment, but we'll certainly try and reconnect as soon as we can to the ad hoc committee. Right now, just gone 5:30. Here's Greg Host with the news heads.
Thank you. A quick look at the headlines. The City of Joburg Council's passed a recommendation introducing the position of a deputy mayor. A circular sent out by the National Police Commissioner states that no private police information may be circulated with members of the public, and the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee's decided to keep interest rates unchanged. There's a full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound queuing towards Crown Interchange, the M1 northbound in Sandton, heavy delays towards Baklu Interchange, and Winnie Mandela Drive northbound in four ways, queuing towards Leslie Avenue. In KZN, the M41 westbound and Mount Edgecombe, queuing towards the Trade Centre Junction, Griffiths Mkhenge Highway westbound, queuing through Central Umlazi, and the N3 outbound, slow moving towards Spaghetti Junction. In Cape Town, the M3 southbound has a crash after Paradise Road reported, the M7 southbound queuing at the R300 interchange, and Strand Road eastbound in Stuckland, queuing towards the R300 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Doming Khapele.
So to me, there's been fines and player suspensions at different degrees for both Senegal, the winners of the African Nations Cup tournament, and Morocco, the losing finalists. Let's just recap. It's a big story. Tell me what's the fines and what's happened.
Absolutely. A big story today, and we also mentioned it earlier on. Senegal fined $615,000 for supporters' misconduct, team misbehavior, and multiple bookings, and also their coach being suspended for 5 CAF matches. Also, Morocco being fined $315,000 for ball boys' misconduct, team misbehaviors, and fans' use of laser pointers. Also, a couple of players being banned here and there, including Morocco's Achraf Hakimi and also Senegalese players Iman Diaye and also Ismaila Sarr, who have been banned for 2 African games. But there's an update with regards to Senegal's Football Federation. They have reportedly strongly criticized the sanctions imposed by CAF. This is following the Africa Cup of Nations final in Morocco. A senior official said that the penalties were rejected in Dakar, arguing that they do not fairly reflect what happened during the match or the intense pressure of a continental final. Now, the official described the decisions as unbalanced and said that Senegal feels that it has been treated unfairly and that the federation is now considering an appeal under CAF rules, stressing that this would be to protect the image of Senegalese football and not to challenge CAF's authority. So we'll definitely keep a close eye on what's happening there and how things develop as time goes on. But still staying with football, Kaizer Chiefs coach Cedric Kaze says that the team is staying calm and not getting too excited about the points that they've collected so far this season. Their win yesterday was important in the title race, as Chiefs, who are second on the table, have now reduced the gap on defending champions and league leaders Mamelodi Sundowns to just 2 points after 15 matches. This is a big improvement for Chiefs, who finished last season with only 32 points from 28 matches.
We go game by game. Last season, we were at the end of the season, we were at 32 points after 30 games. Today we are 15 games with 30 points. I feel it's a big improvement, but as well we feel that we still have a big room as well for improvement, and we're gonna go there and compete every game. Now our focus is gonna shift to our CAF Confederation game on Sunday against Zesco, and then try to make it the best out of that game.
Isn't it always interesting when the league kind of like goes down to the wire and we don't know who exactly is going to go and win the title, Achraf?
Yes,
hopefully it's like that with the Betway Premiership right now, because
absolutely.
Chiefs now is lifting their hand. Pirates has a couple of games in hand. Sundowns is there at the top, but it's not obvious.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a while, but I mean, here's the thing. Yeah. And I'm trying to be very political about this. It's very good when South Africa's big 3, and I'm not saying it in any order of preference, Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates are in the top 3.
Right.
It is very good for South African
over 3
football.
years, if I'm not
wrong. In the same way as I've heard anecdotally from others that an underperforming Manchester United is not good for the English Premier League. And this is not about support. This is just about how important they are to that league. So you do need a strong Orlando Pirates, a strong Kaizer Chiefs, and a strong Mamelodi Sundowns. And I know as I'm talking, others are going to say, but what about Durban City? And what about this one? And what about Stellenbosch? I get that. But these 3 clearly are, in terms of legacy and heritage right now, they are by far the most significant ones.
I'm seeing a Pirates fan in studio just shaking their head saying nope. But it'll be interesting to see how things pan out. But in terms of netball, South Africa's men's netball team begin their season today with a 3-match Spa Challenge series against Australia at Ellis Park. Goal attack Shane Lebaskachny says that facing the unbeaten Kelpies is another career highlight and a vital test against a top opponent. Fresh from winning the Africa Cup in December, Lebaskachny believes that home support gives South Africa an edge. Now, the 24-year-old also called for more sponsorship and school programs to grow men's netball netball across the continent. In terms of cricket, South Africa will aim to wrap up the series when they face West Indies in the second T20 International at Centurion. The Proteas made a strong start to the series with a dominant 9-wicket win in the opening match in Paarl. And after the disappointment of losing the 2024 T20 World Cup final, South Africa are now building momentum and being tipped as one of the strongest teams for the upcoming tournament. On to rugby. South Africa's rugby fans are in for a blockbuster Saturday with two local derbies in round 11 of the Vodacom United Rugby Championship. The Lions host the Bulls at Ellis Park around 2:30 in the Yesgate Derby, while the Sharks welcome the Stormers to Kings Park at 5 p.m. for a Coastal Derby rematch after stunning the Capetonians last week. Now, the Stormers sit second on the table with 36 points, just behind Glasgow, while the Lions, Bulls and the Sharks are separated by only 5 points, making the weekend's results crucial for the standings, and definitely looking forward to that one. In terms of tennis, Serena Williams has sparked fresh talk about a possible return to tennis. This is after saying that she has that she's not ruled out as yet. Now, the 23 Grand Slam champion has not played a professional match since losing in the third round of the 2022 US Open. She rejoined the tennis anti-doping testing program in December, which led to rumors of a comeback, though she later played them down. And asked again about returning during a TV interview, Williams says that she has no set plans and is currently enjoying her life. In the meantime, Arina Sabalenka will face Alina Rybakina in the Australian Open final after both players won their semi-finals in straight sets. World number one Sabalenka beat Alina Svitolina 6-2 and 6-3 to reach her fourth straight final, while Rybakina defeated American Jessica Pegula 6-3 and 7-6 and will look to avenge her loss to Sabalenka in the 2023 final. Neither player has dropped a set in the tournament, so it's going to be an interesting one. That's it from my side.
Right, so there we are. Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs,
Mamelodi Sundowns.
The top three, or South Africa's big three, are in the top three. That's good, isn't it?
It is.
There's bound to be a reaction, I'm telling you now.
Every day, Rand Water's underground pipelines run through servitudes across the country, carrying millions of litres of water to our communities. But when people build too close, it's called encroachment, and it's very dangerous. If a pipeline bursts, it can flood homes, destroy property, and in many cases, people lose their lives. That's why Rand Water marks its servitudes with blue and white beacons, a clear warning to stay clear and safe. When we protect Rand Water's servitudes, we protect our communities too. Rand Water, finding new ways.
The Morning Brief. I don't feel you've explained it thoroughly, the relationship between Marula San and the city of Tshwane and the debt that is owed. So just talk to it and walk us through it.
Don't interrupt. I'm not done. I'm saying the city is taking the matter to court with Northwest Housing Corporation. Marula San is owed by Northwest Housing Corporation. Don't come in as if you know the truth, Brian. You don't know the truth.
No, we're not fighting here. We are getting to the bottom of the truth. So, let's keep our tempers down. We have to ask you about it. You say it's owned by the Northwest Housing Corporation. So why are you paying the element that you're paying if you don't own it?
I was responsible for water because I'm managing the place.
Eugene Modise is Deputy Executive Mayor and member of the Mayoral Committee for Finance in the city of Tshwane.
Tulasizwe Simelane on The Morning Brief.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
So in sporting terms, we talk about Chiefs, Pirates and Sundowns. In business terms, what about the delisted Barlow World, Jimmy?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon to the listeners. We know that Barlow World transaction was quite the interesting one when the news broke that they intended to delist off the back of an offer made by a Saudi Arabian firm. That deal has all but gone through. The business will be delisting, and we're going to be getting a sense of what that business will look like now that it is going to be a privately held entity. We're going to speak to none other than the CEO of Barlow World, who's also a key player in this entire delisting conversation. That is Dominic Sewela. We're going to have him on the show and get a sense of what he intends to do with the business now that it is going to be privately owned. We're also going to be taking a look at the latest out of the interest rate front. We know that earlier on today we heard that the Central Bank of South Africa has left our interest rates unchanged, as did the Central Bank in the United States. We're going to be reflecting on those interest rate decisions and trying to make sense of what's happening there. Then we have a conversation taking a look at the recent announcement by Sasol, or rather by Egoli Gas, that Sasol has declared force majeure on one of their on the gas supply rather that Egoli would expect to receive. We're going to try and make sense of that and see what that will look like. It looks as though the weather conditions in Mozambique have been playing out against the Sasol pipeline that they run through Mozambique into South Africa. So we're going to see what that means for the gas supply into South Africa. And then we're also going to have a conversation with the team at the Standard Bank Group, taking a look at the digital scams that seem to be on the rise as we kick off 2026. We're going to get a sense of how to stay safe and what it is to look out for. And then, because it's Thursday, we're going to wrap up the show with a small business conversation. We're going to speak to a small founder who's turned his love for coffee into building unique coffee tables for individuals around Gauteng. We're going to speak to him and get a sense of that business. Before we get to those conversations, though, the markets have had quite a surprising day. They were on the up. It was all very clear. At one point, the rand was at 15 rand 69 cents. I say 1 point less than an hour ago. At the moment, that's 15 rand 87, 15 rand 88 or so. There's been a sharp move on the dollar side of things, with the dollar basket suddenly returning some liquidity and some favor there. We know that we are in the middle of a US earnings season. We know that Microsoft has given us an update on their performance. There seems to be a bit of drag from that business, from a numbers perspective. We're going to be dipping into these and other market movements with our market analyst on the day, because the gold price is also now back at $5,170 a fine ounce. Interestingly enough, less than 2 hours ago, it was at $5,500 a fine ounce, and almost 5,600 at one stage today. So the gold price, a sharp U-turn on that side of it. The silver price, the same. Platinum and palladium also the same. Palladium was above $2,000 a fine ounce. It's back at 1,970. The only commodity that seems to be on the up at the moment is the Brent crude price at $71.75 a barrel. So we're going to be looking at these and other movements. I think there is quite a bit that is happening in the markets at the moment, and we're going to keep an eye on that between now and 6 o'clock, and we're going to report back just after the 6 p.m. news. That, of course, when we have our show. A quick look at the all share before we go. Up 0.14% on the day's trade. Closed out the day there, thankfully, before the significant movements on the commodities front. If we look at the resources sector, that was down almost, or only 2 basis points. I imagine the moves that we're seeing here, if they continue into the evening, will be felt on that sector tomorrow. Financials up 1.17% and industrials up down 2/3%. We're going to be back a little later on, as I said, with these and other market movements. Just looking at a Bitcoin before I go, $85,000, down almost 5%, with the rand where it is at the moment. That puts it at 1.34 million rand. So the Bitcoin price losing about 100,000 rands in rand terms. There is definitely something happening in the markets at the moment, and I will be back just after the 6 p.m. news to report back on that. I'm going to try and see if I can make sense of what is going on. For now, Ashraf, back to you.
Thanks for that, Jimmy. 6 to 7 coming up in 15 minutes' time or so. Right. Still more to come on the National Pulse.
As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM takes you back to the voices that shaped a nation.
Berea, the home of the 4 bespectacled Tissot brothers, all of whom work or have worked on the English service, particularly Audio Mix and Radio Today. Watch how the night proceeds towards dawn.
And
I need a lot of consoling when I started the early program. People couldn't believe that John O'Donnell and B. Reid were chosen for the early morning program, because if ever 2 announcers used to want to swap a morning shift for an afternoon shift, John and I would do it.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
So, all week long, we've been saying yes to a first for Africa. For the first time in its 60-year history, the Montreux Jazz Festival is coming to African soil, and it's happening in Franschhoek. Say yes to the first artist reveal on the Archers stage, featuring Salif Keita, Mandisi Diansi, Billy Monama's guitar convergence, and the Kasivan Amabig Band experience. And there's more. Say yes to the Jazz Village, with intimate performances by Madala Kunene and Sibosile Qaba and Kwanti Lee, with Herbie Tswali and Andile Yenana. Have I left out anybody? There's more. Ayanda Sekare as well as Sisonke Conti. And that's just the beginning. More acts will come. You'll know about it soon. So tickets for the Archers are on sale now at ticketmaster.co.za. Ticketmaster.co.za. Montreux Jazz Festival Franschhoek, presented by Nedbank. Say yes.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Right, let's capture. We've got about 12 minutes or so of the show to go. Let's get to Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee.
You are listening to the Ad Hoc Committee, live on SAFM.
An independent investigation committee.
Yes, sir.
The Speaker notifies the public that on 13th ordinary meeting on Wednesday, 21 June 2023, Council resolved to appoint a special and independent investigation committee. The committee is appointed to investigate the lawfulness or otherwise of the establishment of the Group Forensic and Investigation Services, as well as allegations of improper and unlawful conduct on the part of GIFS. So, no specific mention is made of General Sibiya in this these terms of reference.
Yes.
Yeah. And then,
if you continue to read, it says the said complaints relate to allegations of fraud, corruption, maladministration, breach of law by GIFIS and others, in particular to the establishment of GIFIS as a separate unit or department, its inherent powers without approval by the Municipal Council, and the appointment of the head of GIFIS. So there it is.
Oh, is that the reference to Sibiya?
Yes, without compliance with the applicable recruitment process and even his own unlawful investigations that he was conducting. So it's quite a comprehensive scope.
But by now he's already out of the system.
But this is important because Council take this decision, Chairperson, on the 21st of June 2023. A week later, General Sibiya is about to be promoted to be the Deputy National Commission. And that's very important for this commission. And he had come here saying, I was appointed and promoted because I was cleared. And I'm demonstrating to you that a week before, a comprehensive investigation is being launched by Council. So, had General Tsele or General Masemula have done a proper vetting, they should have just called the city of Johannesburg and say, is there any things that are outstanding about this fellow? Because if you read the letter of appointment of General Sibiya, he must give a certification that is a man of proper conduct. That's what is required of him. There's a certificate that he must file with Masemula. They did not do proper vetting. We would have told them that no, that as far as I and others are concerned, he's a fugitive from the law. He had not been cleared by the city of Johannesburg. And this is important for two reasons.
Well, it's not quite a fugitive from the law. Is if these allegations that were found to exist against him or to be believed, then he's not a man or a person of integrity to hold such a high position. And of course, his failure to disclose even the fact that there was such an investigation and that findings were made that his appointment there as group head was unlawful or irregular. He didn't make those disclosures.
No, he would not have, because he has told you here that as far as is concerned, he was cleared. Sorry?
He was cleared in court.
He said, when he appeared before you, he said three things. He said, I was cleared by the court, I was cleared by the public protector, I was cleared by the SSA. And I've demonstrated to you in respect of one, or the fourth one was that he said he was cleared by the NPA. I've demonstrated in respect of the court one too, that it was an unopposed order. Favor was done. I will say to you, without even hearing it from me, there's a letter of the public protector, I think it was read here by Honorable Shongwe. The public protector says, no, I didn't know about the allegations of fraud around you. I did not investigate that. So the public protector can't clear you on something that she never investigated. She said, evidence was concealed from me. There's a letter in this record, and I will refer to it at some stage. So we know that the public protector did not clear him because evidence of his malfeasance in respect of his appointment and corruption was never placed for the public protector.
And you had brought this to the attention of the then Minister of Police, was that General Kele. Go to MM9. MM9 on page 114.
114.
Yeah. This is I'm not sure whether it's Mr. or Mrs. or what the title, but Pokani, Phokane, and Pokani is writing back to you.
Council, where are you?
On page 114, annexure MM9.
114. So, if with your indulgence, Chairperson, we may want to start on page 88. That's where my report is to General Bekele. It's on page 88. So you would see the heading. I'm not going to bother you with the heading at this stage, but what it does, it talks about the very things. Now, this report is dated 20 June 2022. Council at this stage still blocked because we go on page 90, it's the same letter to the Minister of Kokta. So I'm writing to two ministers about this, the one of local government and the one where CBI is living.
MM6 is to the Kokta Minister, yes?
Yes, yeah. to the minister where he is going. And then on page 92, MM7.
And the annexure that I refer to, MM9 on 114, that is where your letter, it should be of June, not one, or it says 1 August.
Yeah, let me assist to counsel.
Acknowledged by the minister.
Let me assist to counsel. On page 92,
yes.
It's MM7. So when I wrote to the ministers, I would have attached the entire report about the conduct of Sebia it's on page 92.
Yes, that is to the speaker.
Yes, so it's
to the public protector.
It's a report that the speaker was blocking from entering council. Yeah. So it would have been my report that I started internally before I go external. So I attached that report to say I've already satisfy the internal process. Then if you go on page 106, it's MM8. I then supplement my report, both to the Minister of Police and the Minister of Kokta. So I supplement, because at this time, we have become aware that not only this General Sebia is fraudulently employed. We've discovered that he has also bought a spyware. And there's a letter of the SSA that gives the name to this spyware at this time. And I'll take you to that letter at some stage. So,
what page is that, the reference to the spyware of this annexure?
It's on page 106, yeah. Where annexure MM8.
Yeah, I'm on page 106.
Yes, if you read the heading of the report, it says that a supplementary report to request action to be taken regarding the evidence of state security agents, which implicates the then fraudulently employed head of chief is on crime intelligence related offenses. So this is where we discover that in 2019, he has been owning, since April 2019, he's been owning a spyware. And so I then supplement my report, right? And that report goes on up until to page 113. Now, I'm in the annexure where you were. So, page 114 is annexure MM9. Now you've got the minister's office. The only minister who responded to me is Minister Cel, and this is very material for this committee. He was here. What did he say? He said, I don't know who this Mesuli is. Who? Mesuli? Who? Mlandu? I don't know that person. 2, I've never received any report from Mlandu. And 3, who the hell he think he is that he can write to the minister? Those are the 3 things that he said here. Now, if you read...
You're quoting him.
No. Who does he think he
Language
is?
a bit strong, although we sometimes hear even stronger language.
Yes. Who does he think he is? Can he write to the minister? And I just want to read the email to place him before you. That this is the email from the chief of staff. The chief of staff is Mkhwanazi. And it is dated the 4th of August, 2022. So Mkhwanazi,
And where are you now? Which page?
on page 114.
Oh, sorry.
On page 114.
Oh, Pokani.
So if you look at the heading of the email, it talks about my supplementary report. He says, and you look at it, it's addressed to so many people, not just me, even there's a DPSI, I don't know who are those people there. He says, good day, Mr. Mlandu. Your below email dated 1 August with the above subject matter and attached report is hereby well acknowledged by the Office of the Minister of Police. The contents of the report has been brought, not will be brought, has been brought to the attention of the Minister, and the necessary feedback shall be submitted in due course. I trust the above is well in order. Here is a former national...
Okay, that's where we're going to leave it. We'll be back tomorrow, certainly with the National Pulse and the Ad Hoc Committee and the Madlanga Commission and everything else that moves the pulse of our nation and globally as well, right? Let's get up to date with the news now with Greg. It's 6 o'clock.
Thank you again, Ashraf. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening. Joburg to get a deputy mayor and interest rates remain steady. Good evening to you.